Yeah, fuck it. We do it live. We're live now. This is recording.
Okay.
What's going on? This is our brand new podcast we made. No big deal. We're actually famous. 2 followers. I'm Trey. This is George.
Yeah. This podcast we're gonna talk about anime, movies, shows, gaming, basically just geek culture.
Fuck that.
And
Philosophy and religion.
we might stray into some other
We're
random
always
topics,
gonna end up in philosophy and religion. It happens every time.
It does.
Let's talk about Naruto.
That's-
What about the philosophy of being a man? Every time. And then 6 hours later, let's talk about this one episode. 2,000 years later.
You're gonna be hearing short story long a lot as well.
Literally, it's become my new favorite phrase. I tell people at work all the time. Like, I'll be like, stop talking to somebody, and I'm in like fucking like a business environment where you're not supposed to like sit and talk all day. They expect
Yeah.
you to be at your desk. I'll just stop and talk to somebody, and like, I talked to my boss today for no shit, almost like 10 minutes of just like health things. It was like, oh
hilarious.
yeah, you know, when it's difficult and like managing different calories, different things. I was like, I'm at a point now where I eat so healthy that I don't get enough calories in the day to support my exercise because vegetables and certain things are like so low calorie.
Eat a steak.
Right. I mean, you could, but we went over that. And then he used to be an Olympic runner or Olympic cyclist, and he was talking about his diet because they have to have, you know, fives, if not tens of thousands of calories. It's like they have to have so much shit. He would just eat whatever, and he said he wished he would have watched his diet more. Like, he needed those calories, but he would just, you know, yeah, let me get 2 things at dessert. Let me get whatever, you know.
Ugh. Nah.
So like,
That's not how you do it.
yeah, that's not how you do it. But we talked for like a long time though. It was a random thing. I was gonna say, have you tried the Weight Watchers point system? Because I fuck with that shit.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And then it like turned into a fucking 20-minute conversation almost. And I was like, yeah, well, short story long, health is cool.
Yeah.
And then like he was like, yeah, I
short
got it.
story long. Now, this is our intro to our first
Right.
episode.
Yeah, literally,
Uh,
short story long. We were supposed to just introduce ourselves and tell you what it's about, and then I got into an entire fucking tangent about me at work talking to people about other short stories that I made way too long. So here you go. Welcome
We'll
to
try
our
to cut out some of the irrelevant tangents, but
right.
who
In
knows? We
case-
might make them Patreon exclusive. You don't know.
yeah, we're gonna abuse you for all your money. We're gonna put the good stuff. We're gonna have like juicy conversations about like tits and ass, and they're gonna say, "Ooh, they're talking about tits and ass. How do I see it?" Paywall, asshole. I'm playing.
Yeah, we can.
People don't know that. This is the. Imagine you don't know either one of us, right?
Yeah.
That's the best part, though. To anybody who actually isn't our friend, which is probably going to be like 1% of
we're
our viewers.
Definitely gonna be canceled within like a week.
Right. To anybody who's not our friend, who's like probably 1% of our viewers, because, you know, anybody who watches this is going to be like, oh, I'll support you, and they'll like half-ass listen, and then we won't be very popular for a while. But then
Yeah.
when we do get popular, because we take some hot takes and go viral, people are going to come back to this first episode, and they're going to be like, yo, who are these motherfuckers? And then slowly, after you listen to enough of these, you're going to start to understand our preferences, our thoughts on life, our usual philosophies. I'm pretty much a wild card, so don't think from week to week you're going to hear the same thing, because I don't know. I don't even know what I'm about to say sometimes, because they're like, I thought you said
Your
you hated
opinions
that. I like it
change
now.
around like crazy.
It's terrible. I don't change on. It's not like I change my fundamental who I am as a person, but I take in information, right?
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time taking in information because I'm the first person to take a hot take, and then I have to stop and think, is that a hot take? And it was like, that's why you're here. This is why George is here. It's why he's the boss. Because I'm gonna get on here and be like, fucking some shit sucks, and he'll say, well, did you think about this? And I'll go, maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't suck. Maybe I just was too blind. Which
Might as
leads
well
us to
make
our
this
next
intro
topic.
video to the podcast rather than the episode of She Hulk.
Right, that's perfect. That's what I was about to say. It leads us to our next topic. She-Hulk and how fucking terrible. Listen, I'm playing. It's not terrible. I think
it
it was I think it was misunderstood. I'll say that, but I'm trying to be nice. I'm a very nice guy. If you guys don't know, I've never in my life. We have different rating systems. We're gonna have to explain that. So get ready. Short story long. You're gonna have to know our rating systems to know why we rate things certain ways. You know, it's a get to know us episode. But in my life, I've never rated any piece of media lower than a 5. Because a 5 is average. And this is how I rate things. I think a 10 is phenomenal. A 10 I start at a 10. Every movie starts at a 10, in my opinion. And then it goes down from step by step when you do things wrong. Right? Like, it's at a 10, and then your intro sucks and your characters don't come off likable in the first 10 minutes. Well, now you're at like an 8. Maybe not that harsh, but it goes down and then it brings it back up sometimes. In the middle of the movie, some awesome shit happens. I was like, yo, now I know why the character was unlikable. Makes sense. Boom. Return some points. But overall, I will give things a 10, and then I will actually, in certain circumstances, go over a 10, where, things are just ridiculous. It's literally the most iconic, unnecessarily wonderful piece of media, and I'll give that over a 10 to represent how amazing it was. And I usually stop it around a 5, because usually things you can tell are not that bad. A short story long episode in the future, we got to get George to watch Marvel, what the fuck were they called? Fantastic Four 2016? We got to get George to watch that, because I gave that about a 5, which is very low.
I got to rewatch the old Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't do it. You'll spoil yourself.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I gotta watch that Silver. I remember not liking Silver Surfer, and then
I remember. I like two things about it. That
I remember nothing about that movie.
I remember two things I liked. It was Galactus was sick as fuck, not meaning that he was actually what I wanted, but I was okay with that because I don't know. I'm not okay with that, but I am okay with that. If you put some stupid, big-headed, purple-horned, machine, weird suit-having, ugly motherfucker on the screen, normies are not going to watch that movie. I kind of like that they made him this corporeal, mass of scary shit. I was like, let's fucking go. Versus what I didn't like what they did with Parthenax. I think it's Parthenax? Not Parthenax. That's Skyrim.
He was in the movie?
No, in Green Lantern. They turned him into a giant corporeal beast of nasty shit, and it didn't look or feel or... I didn't like that as much. Anyway,
I don't remember
side story.
the Green Lantern movie either. I just remember Ryan Reynolds being in it and just laughing, and that was about it. Also, when did that come out? Like 2004?
Right, we'll have to go over that in episode 2. It's weird. Normally we would just go on for the actual 6 hours, and we're probably going to do it anyway, but we're going to be professionals. We have an actual podcast.
This is She-Hulk / Marvel
This is She-Hulk / yeah. This is why it's called Short Story Long. If you want a short story on, did you think She-Hulk was good? Get fucked. We brought that up as the topic of debate. It's been 10 minutes, and we haven't even gotten past how we rate movies. So,
I got to talk about how I rate movies, but it's
right.
Okay.
We haven't even got there yet. So it's like I only rate movies usually for there, and I usually go around a 5, which is why I brought up this backtrack. We're pretty good at this actually. We've gotten over the years pretty good at knowing where we came from, and backtracking back to where we were to get back on the same tangent we left from.
Thank you.
So I pretty much normally don't go below a 5 because you have to. 5 is 5 is below average. 5 is below average, and
is it not?
Huh?
Right in the middle. Wait, hold on.
Oh no, sorry, under 5, dude. Jesus Christ, I can't use words. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is why George is
in the middle of this grading scale.
This is why George is here because I say dumb shit without thinking about it, and it's like, did you just say that? What did I say? So yeah, no, 5 is average. Anything below that is below average. I mean, you're bad. Like I can look at you compared to every other movie out there, and you're worse than most other movies for one reason or another. And then it gets worse and worse until quite literally a 0 would be unwatchable. I don't think there is a 0 in my scale because a 0 would mean it hurts me to watch it, right? A 0 would mean like it's actively like hurting my brain to watch it. And I think if let's say you had like an hour and a half movie of just like garbled mess. Right? Like, it was literally like, there's person on the screen, then it goes to garbled psychedelic trip on the screen. Then it goes back to like a dude in a business suit. Then it goes back to something else. And it was just these random images flashing on the screen. That'd be close to a 0. It does nothing for you. It doesn't promote anything. It's unwatchable in a way that you can't even find any context to make it okay. Versus like a 1 might be something where that had context. It was like, oh, these emotional things and these crazy psychedelic things are for anyone who's tripping like a motherfucker. They can go watch this. And maybe that would actually make it, in their eyes, much better. But objectively, it'd still be on the 1 or 2 scale because anyone who's not that fucked up can't enjoy it. Anyway, short story long, anything below that is bad for me. I gave She-Hulk on first watch, trying to be nice about it, a 4, and I think I kind of convinced myself that it was closer to a 3.5, and that's because of the things that it did wrong all around. It was like it did...
We'll get into it.
No, we're going to get into it, yeah. I'm not going to go too far because this is to wrap it up, but it did certain things... Yeah,
we're going to start off with our grading scales.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, She-Hulk. I gave it like, I don't know. I'm bouncing right now. I just finished it. I just watched it day before yesterday. I started it. I finished it yesterday, and I rewatched all of it today.
Right.
and I'll say I'm bouncing between a 4 and a 5.
Okay, a
And
little
that's
bit better than
actually
mine.
decent. That's actually decent for me because I don't even think
Right,
movies bad. I go all the way down to 2 for a bad movie.
right,
Terrible.
right.
Oh,
If yeah, George's scale,
three's
tell
a
him.
bad movie. For me, three's a bad movie. Two's a terrible movie. One is damn near unwatchable, and zero
Right,
is I'm not gonna watch that ever again. I will never
right,
subject myself to that again. Actually, I think two or three and lower, I'm probably never watch again ever.
right.
But
Well, tell him though your high
under
end
five,
scale.
I probably under 5, I will not recommend it unless I know that person likes something
In
that
it.
in it that's
Right.
related to
I
it.
can agree with that. Usually
Uh,
under 5 means you have to. Actually, I take it back. Under 5, I won't recommend to anybody for any reason unless
yeah.
they ask me why. In which case, if I
Hmm.
understand that person well enough, I'll say, okay, you're gonna probably experience this, this, and this. Not
Hmm.
without spoilers, no, tell them no spoilers, and I'll say, but you might feel this, this, and this way, but you like these things. You're gonna come out of it probably having a low rating, but you should probably watch it just knowing the person you are. But to any regular person, like who's uninvolved in media or critics or nothing, if it's below a
Yeah.
5, no. I'm not even gonna tell you to watch it. Even a 5 is like I'm not
Above.
telling anybody to go watch what is it called? 2016 Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
It's just it was good though. It was solid. It was very solid, but I think if I tell someone to go watch that, they're gonna feel like they could have done better with their time. Even though it wasn't bad, it wasn't good enough to relegate a 2-hour sitting, kind of thing. It's
Right.
not that long, but
Hmm.
you know what I mean. Between
Yeah.
sitting down, popcorn, whatever. Short
Yeah.
story long.
Yeah.
But
I was
your
saying
your
that.
high
Yeah.
end
From
ratings though.
six up, I like are movies I liked. I enjoyed. I'll probably recommend. Nines, I will recommend every every waking moment that I
Right,
see a person that's not seen that movie.
right.
Um,
And tell me what a 10
there's
is.
very few movies. I don't even have a 10.
I
I don't
know
have a
that was
movie.
the point.
I don't have a 10. Honestly, Dark Knight's my favorite movie of all time, and that's a 9.5. So,
Right.
um,
George doesn't do 10s because he thinks that a 10, and his scale, a 10 is perfection. And
you
there's
can't do
never
no
been
wrong.
there's never been a perfect anything.
Exactly.
Even every movie that's existed has a problem. Which is for me, I grade a 10 on a reachable scale, meaning that I would, for example, give like, what do you call it? I don't know, it's personal bias, but I would give like Avatar, the Blue People, a 10. Just because there's almost nothing wrong. I couldn't find anything wrong with that movie.
What's the statute of limitations on spoilers?
Never. I'm sorry. Get fucked. Never. There is. You can never, ever, under any circumstance, spoil anything unless you have consent. And let's get
Nice.
back. Let's go because I want to get into She-Hulk actually. So, back to rating systems. Yeah, George doesn't rate anything like 10 or above or whatever. I rate things above a 10 if I think it was revolutionary. George gets as
Jesus.
close to 10 as he can for how revolutionary something was, and that's kind of our rating system. So when we give ratings, before you guys lose your fucking minds and but he said it was a 7. Avengers is not a 7. I don't think he gave it a 7. He gave it higher than that, but still. If
Infinity Wars, and I think I rated it 8.9.
right, well, I mean Avengers 1.
7.
Right. It was like so. I think it was 7. I thought it was a little bit higher. I thought it was 7.5 or close to 8, but it was still.
6.8, 7, something like that.
So yeah, it
for me.
was. If it was still like, it was low, and people are gonna
First
hear
thought,
that,
probably was like, when I first saw it, I was like 10 out of 10.
right? Nah, and people are gonna think that. So like, let's just let's get them prepared. Let's get people because they're gonna lose their fucking
Yeah.
mind.
I'll say even when I rate something a 4, I enjoyed it. Or not enjoyed it, but I enjoyed some things in it. I'll
Right,
take
right.
that.
That's why I
Yeah.
rated She-Hulk the way I did.
I'll
I was like, there
say,
was
yeah,
things that I
She-Hulk. I think I only laughed out loud one time while watching She-Hulk.
right,
But I saw something that was like, oh, that's cute, that's funny.
right.
But I didn't laugh out loud. And it's supposed to be a comedy, so
Well, that's the
yeah.
question. This is where we're gonna start this with, I think, because let's dive the fuck into this.
Okay.
Because I definitely gotta give it a 4. I want to give it higher, but I can't on any scale. And that's where we're going with this. Is there's people who think I think it depends on what you think of it. Is it an action movie? Is it a comedy? Is it this? Is it that? You mentioned that we were thinking oh it's kind of like a sitcom. In every scale that I look at, it was fucking bad. Like in every single scale, I looked at action, looked at comedy, drama, sitcom. It failed in every single regard, but it had moments in each of those that were not bad. It had moments I liked out of all of those. So I was like thinking to myself, like, okay, then maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's not bad, maybe it's good. And it's like, no, it's fucking terrible. And I think it's because, in my opinion, it had too many conflicting shit. like too much conflicting shit, and it also was too short. I don't know if this is bad writing, bad preparation, but they probably, I would imagine they told them at the head of the series, hey, you get this much time per episode, you get this many episodes. This is what you do. Now you write it. And I could be wrong. There's always behind the scenes thing.
I feel a little opposite of that. I feel like those are too much filler.
Well, that's okay. I agree. 100%. The entire show was filler.
Okay.
The entire show was filler. That's why they did everything
Yeah.
wrong, and that leads me to my next fucking. Fuck it. I don't know how to structure this, so I'm gonna bitch about random things until we figure out the whole show.
Okay.
Every single person except Jen and especially her assistant. Jen sometimes, but the assistant that's the only character throughout the entire show, except for Daredevil, but he doesn't count. He's a guest star. The only character in the entire fucking show who I loved, who was consistently fucking great, was the assistant. Jen was a close second, but
Nikki.
she's the main
No,
character.
her name's Nikki.
Mickey?
Yeah, Nikki.
Oh, Nikki. Okay, yeah, she's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I thought she was great because every time she was on screen, she was charismatic, she was interesting, she was believable, and she was just good. She was consistent throughout the show. Her personality, her everything she did was consistent. She bounced off Jen really well, because she was very confident, very all these things that Jen struggled with, and they were good friends. It made sense. I think overall it made a lot of sense, and I think that every other character in that show, except for Jen, I guess, and obviously the guest stars, Bruce, Wong, whatever, they were a fucking joke. Like nothing about those characters.
Almost a little bit of a joke.
Yeah, it was like they weren't good. They weren't interesting. They
You
weren't
know, like Abomination.
No, he was great. He was great. Take it back.
Okay.
Take it back. Sorry,
Yeah,
dude.
Blonsky.
Everyone's probably thinking that too. Like, fuck you. But a lot of them, they weren't. Even when the ones I liked.
You didn't like Pug? That's the male lawyer that works with Jen and
I liked him
Mallory.
at first when I thought he would be a real person.
Okay.
Do you ever see those scenes where he's sitting on set and he looks off into space and his eyes get real wide and he responds kind of weird?
Yeah.
Like he's a robot being controlled?
I thought
fuck
it was
is
just a
that?
weird quirk he had. Yeah, I thought it was just a weird quirk.
I didn't. No, I thought that was fucking
I thought
terrible.
it
I didn't know
was-
why.
I thought it was
Why would
funny.
you? Why would you do that? Why are you
It
acting like
reminded me
that?
of, it reminded me. Well, I will say one of the things I did like about the She-Hulk movie or show, the mannerisms felt human. Like the way people talked or like moved their hands or their face moved contorted when they spoke. Some of them it looked off, but I knew some of those people. So like the Pug was a good example. He reminded me of a friend of mine who does that same thing, and we just never questioned it. They interviewed that one dude who was talking about She-Hulk. And said, so this girl, she turned green and big, right?
I like that
And-
guy. The interview dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a real person though. That was how real people would actually act.
That's what I was talking about with all of She-Hulk. Like a lot of characters acted like real people, and I kind of enjoyed that.
Right. No, and I don't think many of the main did though.
Okay.
Was my problem. They set me up to also disrespect the entire show as entirety. They kept literally disrespecting themselves. So I had very less respect for them. One of the things I liked in certain situations and didn't like in other situations, and I've heard people bitch about it, was the fourth wall thing.
Oh yeah.
I actually enjoyed the fourth wall things when they were charismatic and they were brought from Jen's point of view. The same way that Deadpool brought us from his point of view.
She was the only one that broke the fourth wall, though.
Well, that's what I mean. I guess.
Okay.
Maybe I said that like I meant something else.
I
But,
thought you meant that like when it was just her, it was fine. Okay.
no, but I went when it's her like being herself.
Okay.
When she fucks that one dude, and he's like a fucking 250-pound muscle-bound hot doctor, and then he just dips off because he wanted to fuck She-Hulk. He wanted the Amazon. He didn't like her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
she looks at the camera and goes, yeah, whatever. Hot doctor, overrated. That
That's just a
shit was
cliche
funny.
or something like that. I don't know. I forgot the exact line, but yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. She was like, overrated, whatever. I don't even want him anyway. Essentially. And I was like, yeah, that's funny. Because she knows for like fucking fact that she did. And she's trying to defend herself because she's sad that he hurt her feelings, that he only wanted the bad bitch. He didn't want regular old Jen. And I'm okay with that. That was good. But in the very first episode, they already put me off. They put me on bad standing.
Oh, when they said, "Hey, this is a lawyer show," you're not gonna like. Well, she didn't flat out say it. I can't remember the exact line, but she was like, let me bring you up to speed, and this is how I became She-Hulk. So
now that part was fine.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's what I'm saying. She kept doing things that were okay, and then completely undermining the entire show. Like, for example, oh, you're not gonna watch a stupid, boring show about lawyers. So let's go ahead and cut to the Hulk part.
Oh, it's the same one.
No, I know,
that's
but in the same one part was good, one part was bad. I didn't care about the catch you up to speed part because she had already undercut the entire show as it stands. Like,
okay.
I didn't like that shit. I'm like, bro, you just completely undercut
I mean, she
everything.
didn't say you're not gonna watch this show because she
I swear
I'm
to
trying.
God, she said something like nobody wants to watch a show that's boring about lawyers or something
No,
like that.
I don't know the exact line, but that was not what she said. And
It's
I
how I
rewatched it
interpreted
twice.
it, I guess.
Yeah, I know that's how you interpreted it, but
So
that's
the
not
way
what
that she
said.
said it is important though, because the way that she said it was enough to make me think that.
Okay.
So it just wasn't charming. It wasn't charming or as interesting as maybe they were trying to be.
What I recall her saying is, "Let me catch you up to speed," and then it cut to it went back in the past, and then it was her turning into the Hulk, and then I was
Yeah,
like,
that
I was
part was
trying to
fine.
find that. Yeah, no, I'm saying that's what happened. She didn't say you're not gonna watch this lawyer show.
I swear, we have to watch it. I have to pull it up right now at this point because if I completely misremembered everything, that's fine. But I don't think I misremembered it. I think she mentioned something about boring lawyer show. She said something about it being a lawyer show that doesn't have action or doesn't have Hulks
Yeah,
or
I remember
whatever.
her saying this is gonna be a lawyer show, but I don't remember her saying this is gonna be a boring lawyer. This is gonna be a lawyer show. This is how I became Hulk.
But that's what you're like. I think implying. Like, I know that. It's the
Yeah,
fuck.
the
It's in
writer,
the,
the
I know
writers
who She
implying
Hulk
that, but
is. I know
writers
it's in
do
the
that all the
title.
time.
And then even if it listen, even if it wasn't supposed to be, even if it didn't undermine the whole show, which it's done many times.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna stick with that impression.
Okay.
Then you're talking to motherfuckers like they're ignorant. Like
Yeah.
She-Hulk, attorney at law. Yeah, this is a lawyer show.
Well, I
Bitch,
mean,
what the fuck do you think I thought it was? Like,
you're
what?
kind of. I mean, are they wrong though? Like, look at all the hate on the
No,
internet.
and this is
From
why we talked to Chris. This is why I
Yeah.
appreciated Chris's sentiment so fucking much.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan of things I'm a fan of, and if I'm not a fan of it, I can still give it a chance. But I'm a fan
Yeah.
of She-Hulk. I'm a fan of. I'm not. I never really read her comics, but I liked when she did show up in other comics, and I thought
Yeah.
she was cool. I'm fucking a huge fan of Hulk. I was gonna watch this shit regardless. Anything Hulk related, she, me, it, all, us, Hulk. Let's go. Get more Hulk.
I've only read a few She-Hulk comics, but
Right.
from my understanding, it is almost exactly what the show was. It is a comedic comic book where she breaks the fourth wall. She's kind of what's the word? Sultry, kind of like
Mhm. A
she's a
bad
bad
bitch.
bitch. She's a bad bitch.
Oh, I love
She's
it. That's why I like her.
boss girl, like all that. That's another thing. I thought the show was gonna be more boss girl, but it was a little less boss girl. Like maybe they were trying not to offend people or try to get people mad about it. I was like, because dudes don't like boss girl.
Well, they
shows,
did
movies.
it. They did it good though. It's weird,
Yeah.
and I like. And this is why I think that the dichotomy between Jen and She-Hulk and that entire
Yeah.
plot thread could have been done really well. I actually
Yeah.
really appreciated it that and it all ties back to something that she was talking to Bruce about. Is he doesn't you don't know what it's like to be you now. Like you're completely different. Things are different now. And I
Yeah.
really appreciated that because without knowing it throughout the series, she became a bad bitch when she was in She-Hulk form. Like, she
Yeah.
became so much more like she was already, I guess, confident, but she was annoying and bitchy as Jen. She
Yeah.
was kind of toxic, and this is what I liked about it. She was literally the stereotype toxic ass lawyer bitch. I went to school for 4 years, and I'm gonna be undermined by these other men, and I'm a bad lawyer, whatever, and like bad. And I
8
was
years.
like,
Six,
she was
6 or
annoying.
8 years. But yeah.
Um,
I don't remember exactly how long lawyers go to
I
school, but
don't
it's
care,
like
but I
6
know
or
it
8
was a
years.
long period of time.
Okay.
And I was like, whatever amount of time, yeah, she put in the fucking work, but she was annoying and snooty. And then because she wasn't confident, she literally didn't believe in herself. You could
Yeah.
tell. She gets undermined so much. She must not have solved any big cases. She probably gets treated like shit in the workplace because people think less of her. And I was like, okay, so that makes her a snooty, angry bitch, and she's trying to lash out at everyone who says she couldn't. Totally okay with her being an annoying piece of shit in the beginning. She becomes
Yeah.
She-Hulk. Things are going to change for her life for multiple reasons. Which one thing I think they would have better is leaning more into the She-Hulk superhero side of better or different from what Bruce is telling her. But it still played out really well. She became so much more regular confident. It wasn't angry confident. It wasn't, sexist confident. It was just bad bitch. And it was like, yo, And then she struggled with that because then people loved She-Hulk and not her. And
Yeah.
then all those insecurities came pouring out throughout the show. Completely terribly written, but you could tell what they were trying to say.
Agreed.
That she's struggling with Jen. And she's struggling with that whole dichotomy. I was like, let's fucking go. I thought it was good, but it was just terribly fucking written. And then it's like, I don't know, just Jen could have been a little bit better. But anyway, back to the fucking we were talking about.
I think Jen and She-Hulk were fine. I think they
Um,
were like the best part of the show. I thought the uh some of the scenarios and like just logistics in the show were just terribly executed.
I agree.
Titania never went to jail. Like
Fuck Titan. That is one of the
she
worst
tr-
characters in the whole show. Dude, I'm sorry.
she literally, it was the first episode, she should have gotten attempted a murder of all those jurors. Would they have like 10 jurors, 12 jurors?
Right?
That should be 20 or 12 fucking counts of attempted murder.
No,
uh,
she was just terrible. I don't even like how they introduced her. They just introduced random fucking Titania, bust through the wall. Who is this bitch? Why is
it
she
wasn't even the one that
here?
was on trial, right? It was somebody
Yeah, no,
else.
it had nothing to do with her. So like, she just
It was-
showed up trying to kill people for nothing. She had no stake in the plot.
yeah.
Like, why? Why are you here? And then she keeps coming back. And she keeps feeling annoying like she's not supposed to be there. And I get why they tried to make her be there, but I already didn't care. And this is where I think we would diverge with like Anthony, for example. Well, she stole her product line. You could have done that with anyone else. You could have
Agreed.
done that with anyone or anything else. You could have literally done something else to make it more interesting than try and rehash this already what the fuck are you doing there character.
Yeah.
And she wasn't likable. She wasn't even dislikable. She was just like, okay. That's how I felt about it. Okay. Like, if you got a bad guy, make her a bad guy. Make me hate that
I
bitch
guess they
like
wanted to make
Blackbeard.
her a recurring villain or something. But
Maybe it just turned out
uh
poor. And this is again poor writing. There's so many things that could have been good about that show, which is why I didn't rate it lower. A lot of people are thinking it's like garbage. That's why I gave it like a 4. It's because it's like, no, it wasn't. It had so much, but the writing was god awful. Which behind the scenes, I heard later that the writer had been denied from like 3 other projects, and the writer had been desperate to like get onto projects, and she kept getting denied, and she finally got this role, and then almost got fired midway through, and it was fucking terrible, and like all hell was breaking loose.
yeah.
And that she also wrote the Rick and Morty. She was a writer for Rick and Morty on season.
That's so many people that write Rick and Morty on it. It's not really an accolade.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. It's actually the opposite of an accolade. She
Okay.
wrote the season that everyone hated.
Oh wow, that's funny.
That's what I heard anyway. I know this is circumstantial evidence, but I talked to a guy at work who watches it, and he was like, "Yeah, apparently she was the writer on this season of Rick and Morty, and that's the season that people don't like as much."
Marvel will always like ride that band. Like, oh, this is popular. We hired a writer from there, even if it's not. Not to discredit her, but like
Right.
they've done it. They've done it for Thor: The Dark World, and look how that happened. The guy who wrote the script for Thor: The Dark World was a writer on Game of Thrones. And this
Right.
was when Game of Thrones was still hot, right? This was like 2012, 2013. It was like on season 2 or 3.
Right.
And no, it's 2014. I take it back. Yeah, 2014, 2013. So it was still when Game of Thrones was really hot. It was like season 3 or 4. And yeah, they put it on like all the trailers from a writer from, I don't even think this is from the writer of Game of Thrones. And I was like, I don't think that's true. I have
Right.
to go back and look at the trailers, but I remember that being in the trailers.
Right. Right. So yeah, no. Unfortunately, I think she's just a poor writer. Not to shit on her. Maybe she's not that bad, but I think overall you could
I mean,
definitely
everyone
tell.
has their bad days.
Right.
Right,
And
yeah.
we don't know what was it like for her development process. Was she just brought in and said, "Hey, you already have this. You have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do that"? Because I've heard that's, I don't know. Maybe it's just
Also, look at Taika Waititi. He did Thor 3 and Thor 4, or he did both of those, and one is like,
a fucking terrible mess.
and the other one's a fucking masterpiece apparently to a bunch of
No,
people.
we got to get into that. But I
Uh,
also now listen, and that note, Thor 3. Oh, excuse me. Thor 3 was carried in part by the bigger MCU it was building towards.
True.
So that's also like unfair in a way. I think a lot of the Marvel universe was carried in part by the bigger universe it was building and the build up. And you're seeing a lot of weaker actors, weaker writers being exposed. And I'm not saying this is the case for everybody. I'm not even saying about the Thor writer, but it could be a possibility. Before I shit on him, openly, it could be a possibility that he was half carried by the MCU where it says you have to do these things have to happen, and it gave him a solid plot line to write around. And it
Well,
made, and because huh?
in my opinion, it's more of a Marvel goes, "Oh, this is working. We should do more of this," and it just
Oh,
took it a little too far.
I
Like Thor
agree.
3, what Thor 3 added all these extra jokes, these little random um not side stories, but like monologues where they ad lib and they just say random jokes, kind of like other comedy movies.
Right, right.
And then they did more of that in Thor 4 than they did in Thor 3, and that might have it just kills the momentum of the
No, you can
plot.
see it. Because they
Yeah.
invented, I think, with Avengers 1 almost. I mean,
Yeah.
you could say that it was leading up to it with Iron Man and his movies and how his kind of sarcasm portrayed through the screen, which that
Yeah, but those are just
character.
like random quips. Whereas like in Thor, they'll have like a character just talking for a minute, and he'll just
Right.
keep talking like a ramble almost,
Right. Well,
and
that's not what I'm
ramble
saying.
jokes. Yeah, yeah,
I was agreeing with you on the point that, like, and from Iron Man 1, not only did Tony Stark's character lean very well to that, but they were
yeah,
experimenting with that. And then by the time Avengers hit, Avengers kind of was the peak of that. The
yeah.
balance between comedy and with little quips and snarky characters and plot and setting, how it all kind of meshed beautifully. And then they said, "Oh, we invented this fucking new," and other you can see it other after Avengers 1, other movies tried to do it as well. And it
Yeah.
was like, well, this is good. They need it. They need more of it. And then they just fucking dropped the ball
I
because
would
it's
say
like
they kept it going the same way. I would say none of them. I don't think any of them got really too quippy until
I didn't like it.
uh.
In the
I mean,
scene where
like,
they're talking
because
with War Machine.
Guardians 1 was still hilarious. That came out after
Well, they were being
Avengers
written
2.
at similar times. I meant with enough
Okay,
time to let it sink in.
okay,
Because if you look at by the time Avengers 3 where Fat Thor,
yeah.
um, after Fat Thor,
No,
literally
that's Avengers 4.
they're having a serious fucking meeting.
That's Avengers 4. That's
Four,
Endgame.
okay, so they're having a
Yeah,
serious meeting, like about Thor losing his entire fucking people. Like, yeah, he was drunk, but he was going on like a heroic speech or trying to, which
yeah,
that's gonna be funny-ish by itself because this motherfucker's drunk. But like, we know what he's trying to say. But Thor
yeah.
himself got serious. Like, Thor himself raised the tension in the room, and then he challenged everyone. He said, "Do you know what blood runs through these veins?" And you could tell he was pissed, trying to come back and like fight.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah, and
cheese
then
whiz.
Cheese Whiz, yeah.
Yeah, no, it didn't. But even War Machine's character didn't present it right. Because I think if it would have been Ant-Man who didn't know him, or let's
Yeah.
say Star-Lord, if they'd have been
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, cheese whiz," or like, "Oh, raccoon," if fucking Rocket would have said some shit like that,
Yeah.
even when Thor is being serious.
I wouldn't say Rocket because Rocket and Thor bonded in Infinity War and he kind of got him.
Okay, never mind then. But I know his
Yeah.
character would be capable of saying that in that context.
Yeah.
That's what makes it funny. It's funny because Rocket doesn't give a fuck if you're serious. He doesn't
Yeah.
give a fuck about your feelings. Fuck you. Neither did Tony Stark. Neither did the guys who pulled this off well. War Machine is a little sensitive. I'm sorry. I'm not saying he's like super sensitive. I'm not saying he's like a bitch, but his character doesn't come off like that. He's more concerned than other don't give a fuck characters.
Yeah.
And the way he said it, his delivery, he didn't even say it with a laugh. It was like it's almost like halfway he said cheese whiz like
I don't know.
disrespectfully.
I like Don Cheadle in that role, but I still think I don't it still feels off to me.
Oh, 100%. I think it's the way he
Yeah.
delivers it. I don't know what it is because I like
Yeah.
him when he's having fun.
Because I
I
think he's
like War
trying to
Machine.
just be like another Iron Man with like the way he delivers jokes. He doesn't deliver them how I think Rhodey would deliver jokes.
Right. He's funny. Like when they're having fun, but the scene where they're all drinking, right? The scene where
Yeah.
they're all drinking and they're all trying to move the hammer, and then fucking Cap, he moves it a little bit, and Thor's like, come here. And he tries to grab the
Yeah.
hammer real quick.
Yeah.
Rhodey was fucking perfect in that scene. He was fucking phenomenal because he's so funny. Like Rhodey really, in at least his iteration in the Marvel universe with that actor, he's very laid back, very concerned, very happy. He makes jokes. He's sarcastic, but he's the first to have your back. He's the first to get serious and defend his friends. He's more Justice. He's more Captain America than he is Iron Man. But he's more funny. It's like he leans on the side like that, and I don't know. They just didn't lean on that. You're right. I think they tried to lean the character, or maybe he did. I don't know who who was in charge for these decisions, you know.
Multiple people. Yeah,
Um,
it's not always the actors. It's an amalgamation.
right,
It's the
right,
actors, the directors, the writers,
right.
the yeah. So
Back to what we were saying though.
okay,
Characters, our perception of them, what they should or act like, or whatever else. Jen's battle with She-Hulk and that mental
yeah,
battle could have been
yeah,
better.
yeah.
Back to writing where we left off is like so writing. I think they wrote her into the ground a little bit because it was either too rushed or too something, too whatever. But that had a spark. That had a little spark there. But the other character, a lot of the supporting cast, I really truly believe if you left Jen alone, if you left even like the random hot dudes alone, all the guest stars alone, if you left a lot of things alone, and you just removed every fucking character from her office except her assistant, it would have been better. Because all those characters, they felt like skits. Those characters felt like joke Saturday Night Live skits. I
Hmm.
didn't believe like the main one who recurred. He came back like 3 times. The stupid short-haired fucker.
Oh,
Um,
Dennis. Yeah,
didn't get
nah,
the fucking God, dude. He was so bad.
he was the butt of the jokes all the time, but that was the point. But God, he was annoying.
It
I
wasn't
think
written well.
was
Yeah,
that
like
was the well, no, I wouldn't call it not written well. It was just not.
you think
It
humans
was
act like that? Have you tell
a
me right
little
now?
bit.
If you say yes, I'll believe you.
I won't
Have you
say
ever met a
yes.
human who acts
I'll
like
say
that?
he's a caricature of a person that acts sort of like that. Um, not to that extreme, not to that extent,
That's what I'm saying.
but
He's a Saturday Night Live
but
skit character.
but what I was saying is, I know what they were doing with him. They wanted him to be like this annoying dude who's snobby and thinks he's better than everyone. They wanted that guy.
Right, which
Um,
I'm okay with. I like that guy.
yeah.
In sitcoms, he does really well, which you mentioned it being like in a sitcom rating, that character is a must.
Mm.
So like in a sitcom rating, if they did him well, I'd be okay with it. But he was so fucking bad. He's non-believable. And then I don't remember for example, and the other character who I think had those weird stare off into space looks, like he wasn't his responses sometimes sounded
Bug. Yeah.
inhuman.
Okay.
That guy, I thought he also didn't feel like a real person, but he did sometimes. When he was introduced, he was talking to the shithead Dennis. When that guy was introduced, he was talking to Dennis about defending him in the case.
Yeah, yeah.
I loved him. I was like, oh, I like this guy because he looked at him like,
That's actually the scene that endeared me to him.
no, that's it. That scene was fucking phenomenal. Because I noticed you gave him sympathy. You're like, no, I like that. And I was like, well, where would that come from? And I remember now that we're talking about it, I can see that his intro scene was great
Yeah.
because he was the ultimate Chad Sud dude. Like, but he wasn't like a dickhead. He was one of those literal. He was a literal like kind of awesome hot guy. Like
Yeah.
he's seen Dennis. He was like, oh my god, this motherfucker. He's serious. Like he thinks he's serious.
Yeah.
Well, Dennis,
That's the
gotta go
point.
by.
That's the point of Dennis. I would say if you write that, I guess it's just the execution, or maybe they use them too much. I
Maybe.
think that's my personal opinion is they just use Dennis too much. Maybe that right there, and then no more.
So he could have been
Just
like a Newman. Well, did you never watch Seinfeld? Did you watch Seinfeld?
Yes, I haven't watched Seinfeld.
Okay, so you know Newman, right?
Yeah.
Newman's great, but Newman's not a real person.
Yeah.
Real people don't really act like Newman, but when he shows up, it's kind of good. Also, I don't know, it's his play on other characters. I think that's what matters. Dennis didn't play with other characters well. Like he didn't bounce off them in a comedic, well-written way. Everyone just hated him. I hated him. He was awkward and shitty. There was nothing to redeem the man, and I think that was what made the character feel bad. Because you can have the butt of a joke, or you can have a character who like is unlikable, and still be good. Like Newman. Newman was he was like a mad scientist sometimes. His character was kind of off the wall. It was like this fucker's like, I'll get you, Jerry. No one does that. No one says that. Why the fuck are you saying that? But then he wouldn't show up for 5 episodes. And you're like, where the fuck is that crazy fucker Newman? And then he would show up with some random shit and he would dick over Jerry or something. It'd be fucking hilarious. And it's like, so his character played this role, but he bounced off Jerry because Jerry'd be like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, Jerry's thinking what we're thinking. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And he worked out great. Dennis did not work out great because his character, he wasn't realistic enough to be likable or even dislikable in a good way. But then other characters also didn't bounce off him in a meaningful way because they looked at him the way not fans, I guess you could say, what can we call us fans? If we watch it, I don't know, it's hard to say. Everyone hates this show.
Fans of Marvel.
Viewers. The way the viewers bounce off him and the way the characters bounce off him, I don't think should be the same. And there's a
Well,
discontinuity to that. Like you said, there's
I think it works for a female audience.
you think so?
Yeah.
No, it was on the nose. I don't know. Do you think that females want to be talked like that? Like, cause like for example, his one
No, but
episode where they were like,
they want to see like him get his comeuppance, right? Because a lot of people, whenever they know a personality that they don't like, in
uh,
their head it's always exaggerated. Like you ever try to talk to somebody like, yo, about someone, and then they just exaggerate something like, yo, it wasn't like that. Calm down.
right, right,
Like, yeah, and so I feel like he was written for the girls, and
okay.
like
And not to be
he's
completely,
that
not to
shithead,
sound,
he's
what is
that
it?
dickhead at the office who just talks down to them all the time, right?
Right. So
Uh,
not to sound misogynistic, but in a way, I can't understand. No, what's not misogynistic? What's the opposite where you hate men? We don't have one of those, do we? We need one of those. Someone get on that. Give us one of those misogynistic for
is it
men.
feminist? Does it start with a, is it just misogynistic with an F? It's
Misogynistic? Yeah,
misogynist.
you're misogynistic, you piece of shit. Not to
Um,
sound misogynistic, but we're just incapable of understanding those feelings as men. Because I've been on record before saying that women have more emotions than men on average. They
yeah.
interpret things with their feelings easier. They
Mhm.
have more emotional responses to things, and they dig deeper than things than men do. And people are
Mhm.
going to think, oh, you're talking shit about them. No, that's just how they're built most of the time. So when they have a situation, for example, some dude comes and hits on you, as a man in a relationship, or not in a relationship, was a restaurant. As a man who worked at a restaurant, you would see a dude come up as like a cook and be like, "Yo, what's up? You know, something, something, ooh, something, blah blah," and they would just like pretty much spit game to a server.
Yeah.
And I can tell what they're doing. Sometimes they're genuine, sometimes they're not, but they're asking questions. That's all they're doing. Yeah. So, where'd you, oh, excuse me, got like hiccups there. Where'd you go to school? Where? Oh, what about this? Oh, do you go out on the weekends or something? Like, yeah, we should hang out or something. You know, whatever. Like, and they're just testing the waters. They're not being creep. They're not being pervasive. They're not even being aggressive. They're just literally
Some girls
asking.
find that creepy. I'm like, yo, it's just hitting on him. But
Right. It's like he's just talking to you. He just wants to get to know you. Yes, he is trying to shoot his shot, but he does also just want to get to know you in some sense, at least to see what you're about. And it's
yeah,
like women perceive that completely different. It's like he
yeah,
was harassing me and asking these invasive questions. Like, dog, he asked you what kind of music you like and what do you do on the weekends normally? Like,
yeah,
that's normal shit. Like, if a dudes, and it's funny, dudes ask other dudes those things too.
yeah.
Like, even if they're trying to test you, that's the thing. Like, for example, like not test you in a say they're trying to whip your ass, but dudes will challenge other dudes. What you do on the weekends? Oh, you go here? You ever been here? What kind of music you listen to? They're just trying to get to know. They're trying to say, what kind of guy I got here? They're trying to know who they're dealing
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Like, they want to know what the fuck they're dealing with. None of it is abrasive or condescending or nothing. They don't. I mean, you could say it's condescending, but it's because it's strong. Anyone who's
Yeah.
weaker than someone else assumes condescending behavior. It's
True.
just the way it is. If someone is bigger and stronger than you and asks you a question, like they're physically bigger and stronger, you're gonna assume
Not even
condescending.
that. It can be just a power thing. If somebody's your boss or somebody's like higher up on the totem pole
That
and they
too.
ask you a question, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
power thing regardless. It can be
It's
physical
yeah.
power. It can be like yeah, some other type of power.
Right. Anything
Uh,
if they're anything more than you in whatever metaphysical, whatever physical sense you want, you're going to take that as condescending behavior because you don't know how to
exactly.
interpret it. Because let's say, for example, you're predisposed to that. Because let's be
Yeah.
honest, working in the STEM field, if you're working in the STEM field, and there's not very many women around, when a man would ask a woman a question about something, sometimes I would say I give you a 50% chance, which is pretty fucking high. I wish it was a little bit lower, but you get because you're not going to eliminate it, but at least 20%. Goddamn. There's a 50% chance that it's a question to test your abilities. Now, they do that to other men as well. Oh yeah, so I work with this system and this and this. Do you work in Linux? It's like, no. Oh, okay, no big deal. And it's like, damn. And you know, they just pretty much wrote you off. They think you're a shit programmer because you don't work in Linux or some shit. They do that to other men, but they do it more frequently to women because there's so much less of them, and a lot
Yeah.
of them are getting forced to in the position because well, they're going to force you into it because you have to be equal. And it's like so
Yeah.
then they become underqualified. So now the men are scared that they're going to have an underqualified member on their team. And if let's say the percentage chance that you're underqualified is this for men for women, let's assume that it's higher in certain situations, that's going to lead them to that behavior. So now we're on a whole ass topic about misogyny and everything else. But there are certain things in how we interpret situations and why we do it that way and how we
Mhm.
feel. Women feel a lot more. So when his character, like you're saying, I think so. If he was written by a woman, she sees the scenes like that
Yeah.
even when they're not like that. And this is why I think and this sounds bad, but I think
That's what I was trying to. That's what I was trying to say.
no, and I agree with you. That was a short story
Yeah.
long. Short story long to agree with you. Yes, that's how it is. I always like to give context, because if you don't give any context and I say something
Yeah.
wild, it's just like nobody fucking
I
understands.
feel like, yeah, I was saying. But I think he was just overused.
That
Honestly.
too. But when he would say things, though, it's unrealistic. Men don't say those things.
Yeah, but
Men
sitcoms are
don't act like
unrealistic.
that.
Also, the
Not
sitcoms are unrealistic anyways, and then it's also a Marvel show, so it's like it's comic books, so it's just this unrealistic shit everywhere. Um,
but unrealistic, and like
I
Marvel
know what
does
you mean. It's not human.
characters.
It doesn't feel like
Marvel's
oh
yeah. Go
yeah
ahead. Not
yeah
human.
no
Like
yeah, but
Marvel's always been very human. Everything
yeah
that's why they're better than DC most of the time.
yeah
It's because they're human. Their characters are so fucking believable. And it's like it just sucked. Because you could make that guy. I've seen those guys. You could easily make those guys. So like certain characters' believability, shit like that.
yeah.
Where Dennis was so fucking unbelievably terrible, and then hot dude started out pretty well, I think. By the end of the show, they had also turned him into some unbelievable character, and it sucks because I liked his perspective, because he seemed like to me this hot dude who knows what the fuck is going on behind the scenes.
I think he's a himbo. I don't know if you know if you've heard this terminology
I don't know what
before.
the fuck that means.
Okay, you know the term bimbo?
Yes.
Okay, so himbo is basically just a male bimbo.
Yes, I like that. And that's what I thought he was, but I thought he was more
They
evolved.
exist. A little bit. He's slightly more than that. But that's what I'm saying is like there's himbos in media a lot, and they exist as well. There's dudes who are hot dudes, but they're dumb as a bag of rocks.
Right. No, and I liked that. I liked where he was going with that. Not necessarily being dumb as a bog. He's a lawyer, so he shouldn't be that
Yeah, he's
dumb.
not. He shouldn't actually be dumb as a bag of rocks. But
Um,
if you have all these people be extremely smart, the show gets boring because if they're all just lawyerly, extremely smart, they gave Jen the lawyerly like trait. So
I think that's what makes it creative or interesting, though, is when they break that character, when you find out what's under the surface.
yeah.
I liked his character based on my assumptions on the episode he was introduced in. I thought, oh shit, he's like a fucking, I'm a professional. I do this. I'm at work. I'm a fucking lawyer. I'm smart as fuck, and I don't engage in those sultry behaviors.
Yeah.
And then he goes and fucking just completely degenerates and abuses a bunch of women all the time. Like, he becomes like the greatest womanizer you ever seen in your life behind the scenes. I thought it'd be great. Because then, or also, let's say, for example, he was evolving past that.
I'd rather him just be like a fucking just a dude with a heart of gold, right? Like he's just dumb and he keeps finding himself in bad situations. But they didn't even do that. So,
Right.
like,
I think
yeah.
they could have done that too. I would have been fine. But they could have done either one, I think.
I did like the scene where at the end where he's in that that seminar, whatever it's called, with all the dudes
Right.
who are all like anti She Hulk, and
Right.
he has to what's her face has to feed him what to say because he doesn't feel those like emotions that they do. So
Right.
yeah,
I didn't like that
he
one.
feels uncomfortable.
Um,
I thought it was nice. I thought it was a pretty good like a space for his character
well,
that he had to be in an uncomfortable situation.
I didn't like it just because, and, and again, it's in the beginning and throughout the show, I thought, and the way he was introduced, was a strong male character. Which, sure, I'm not saying that, unless I don't disagree on the part that he could have been like some heart of gold guy or whatever, but he looked like a man, acted like a man, he literally had like the dickhead tendency to tell Dennis to fuck off, and I was like, okay. But he's not dumb. I didn't think he was dumb. That scene made him look fucking dumb. Like, that scene made him look so dumb. He just stands there, well, what do I say? Well, yeah, men are good. And it's like, bro, shut the fuck, you're not that dumb. Every dude, straight dudes, gay dudes, nice dudes, dickhead dudes, every dude knows how to at least remotely sound like a feminist or a misogynist.
Yeah.
So the fact that he didn't even understand basic speech, the fact that he in his own right couldn't even say, yeah, fuck that bitch. No, but I would have liked if they made it uncomfortable. His delivery should have been complete garbage.
Yeah.
And that would have made it funny. Because it's like, yeah, I hate that bitch. And it's
I guess
like
they had to incorporate Nikki somehow. And that's what they felt like they needed to do, was have Nikki feed the what decided to him, and that so they had, by necessity, they had to make him dumb, so that way
Right, but he
she
hadn't
she
been
would have.
dumb. That's what's so weird. It just if that scene felt so bad, they just shit on the character.
Okay.
Like he hadn't been dumb before that. If I'm wrong, like
A little bit. I mean, not like dumb, but like innocent or naive. Like whenever they're getting the Avengers and the Avengers shirt, he was like, "Hell yeah, I want these things." And he was like playing with he grabbed the Thor hammer and the Captain
yeah.
America shield. Like
Now that
or
shit was
not.
kind of funny.
Yeah.
I like that one. That was actually kind of funny.
That's the part where I laughed out loud, by the way, was the Avengers and the Avengers shirt.
Bro,
Because
he said, "What you
I've
want? I got
been
the
there.
merch."
When I used to go to the flea market every weekend, when I was a kid, they'd have the like knockoff Yu-Gi-Oh and Beyblades and Pokemon cards, and they'd all
Mhm.
be misspelled. It'd be like Beyblades or like
Bro.
um no no what was the one I saw? It was like Top Fighters or something like that.
Right. No, and
Um
I love it because we got more of her as well.
yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah, 'cause she did so good. She's so fucking funny, dude. I love. I'm telling you, I think she's my favorite character of the whole show.
Yeah.
Fucking, she was so great. Did they go to the fucking? Yeah, this the place? He was like, I serve boba tea. She's like, we're not the cops.
She said it in Chinese. And
That shit was funny as fuck.
no, she was great.
No, yeah,
Um,
it's like that. I don't know. So I think that they fucked that scene up, and they could have done a little bit more with his character. I'm not unhappy with his character. If I thought he could have been like an
It'll get better.
8.5,
I'll say oftentimes in sitcoms, characters always have one trait in like the first season, and it takes a while to get like evolve a better character. Um,
right? And we
but
didn't get enough time with the show, period, or he got
it's
enough
only
screen
nine
time.
episodes, and a lot of them only had like 3 episodes. I think Nikki had the most screen time. So besides
Right,
Jen, obviously, but
obviously, and maybe
uh,
that's why.
yeah.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that's why those are two of my favorite characters because they had enough time to be fleshed out. But because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Even
know.
the really really professional lawyer girl Mallory, she she didn't
Oh,
get that much
she
screen
was
time.
good.
Yeah.
I thought she was great in the short time she had. I thought she was fine.
Yeah.
Um, yo, speaking of her, one question I have, because this shit, and this is why I say sometimes you can just, it seems like either I'm stupid, which usually is the case, that's why I have to ask you, or that this writing is that fucking bad. Where, and out of nowhere, after Mallory defended her in court, they were leaving the court office, and she was like, well, you want to get a drink sometime? And she was like, yeah, we can. And she was like, oh, yes! And she broke the fourth wall as if she was going on a date with somebody she wanted to be romantically involved with. And then they later on asked questions about more serious involvement, where Jen has been shown the entire show to be very straight. Were they
I didn't
trying to
read
just
that as
ask? Was
that.
that
I didn't
SJW shit? What was that?
I didn't read that as that. I read that as someone that she found intimidating, but then she's like, "Oh, we can be friends. I like this." So
Well, they
I didn't
cut
read
that. She
that.
was like, we're going to be friends. And that's what confused me. She's like, yeah, I'm so glad we're friends. And she was like, and just looked at her. And it was like, oh, yeah, we're not friends.
Because the way she worded it, I think she said, "I'm so glad we're friends now." Like she probably felt hurt that they weren't friends because she's probably like one of those tough like a tough
Right.
person,
Which
but
is cool
gets
if we got
hurt
any
from
amount of backstory.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a little peeling the onion a little bit. We
Right.
don't have they're not fleshed out enough, but
Well, she was
that's
only
how I
there
read
for like
that.
that episode, right?
That's how, well,
Up
a
until that
few.
point.
Yeah.
She comes back afterwards,
No,
but she was. That was.
she's in the first episode or second episode when she first goes to the office.
Was she?
Her new office. Yeah, she's in it, but she just has like a tiny little scene,
Got you.
and
Forgettable
she
as
just
fuck.
seemed well. She had like it was a her personality was very much in that scene, so you could tell like she was a very professional individual, and
Right.
she kind of like looked disgusted by Jen, like
Right.
maybe because Jen became the head of that department, but she seems like she's been working there for a while. So to me, it seemed like
Oh. So they were building
she
all
felt
that.
like she was. I thought that she was trying to she felt like she got snubbed.
Right. Okay.
Um,
So I didn't see the thing is that's why I say. And also, you had
Because
to rewatch.
her and Pug both worked there before Jen and Nikki and
Right.
Holloway, I don't remember his name.
Boss man.
Um, yeah, Boss Man. hired her to be the head of that department, and he introduced Mallory as the somebody who works in this department, meaning she'd
Oh,
been there. So I felt like she felt snubbed by her. And then we were talked about Jen having like anxiety issues or being like
right,
feeling like
right,
she's not good
right,
enough. And so having someone who's been there and is very professional, acts
right,
very professional, dresses very professionally, she probably feels intimidated by her.
right. Which makes a lot of sense because Jen is a lot more rough around the edges than like she
Yeah,
seemed.
yeah,
You know, no, and that's not bad. That's good. And I caught glimpses of. Now listen, that scene was terribly fucking like I never would have thought anything about that scene at all. This is why
yeah,
we talk because
yeah.
you can read behind the scenes more than I can, and I think that overall, yes, that I'm okay with that. Do you think, George? Bottom line, if this show had 18 episodes, that they could have done a phenomenal job? And I mean phenomenal, not like yeah, it could have
I
been
don't know.
better.
I don't know. It was it had 9 and it still felt like there was a lot of filler. Um,
But no, do you think the filler was because
I
everything
know
was
what they're doing with some of the
random?
filler too. Like I think what was it? One of the examples of the filler that I was like, oh, they should have cut this out, and then I gave it some thought was when Jin was walking around Blonsky's compound and didn't have no service, and that's all we saw for I don't know 5 minutes straight was her walking around, and it says no service, no
Right.
service, no
I
service.
like that a
I
little
thought
bit.
I was like maybe this can be cut out, but then I gave it some thought and was like, well, I guess we're supposed to feel what she's feeling, like oh come on. Um,
Right.
so I don't know.
I think
Maybe another 9 episodes because sitcoms are usually not 7 episodes, nine
right, and
episodes. They're
that's what I
usually
mean.
like
They
20
didn't
something
have the
episodes.
time. Tell me how many times you watch How I Met Your Mother, and there was probably an entire ass episode. I seen it. There was an entire ass episode about the fucking glove box, like in the driving gloves. Like,
It was one scene in the
but it
in
was
that
like,
episode, but yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
it was part of the entire episode, is what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was like an entire plot point. These fucking driving gloves, and that really taught you a lot about a character.
Yeah.
And imagine
It
Mallory.
informs you. Yeah, it informs you about a character's weird like quirk that they have. Yeah.
Right, so imagine
Oh.
Mallory has an entire half an episode
Yeah, because yeah, she
about
only
being a
had
bitch. Like,
she didn't
like
really have like a focus. I don't even think she was ever the focus of any episode.
no, except for the one where again, and I brought this up to my buddy. Now we're gonna bring it up again. It's the fact that I was not pissed off, but when I was critiquing the show, I was like, man, in one episode, Jen didn't even fucking show up. The entire episode was her assistant and this other chick doing her job. I was like, what the fuck is
The
that
wedding
about?
episode? You talking about the wedding episode?
The one about like the one about like they had like 10 dude had 10 wives. One
Yeah,
dude.
that was the wedding episode.
Okay, the wedding episode was fucking
Yeah,
terrible, by the way.
because She Hulk was at the wedding and or Jen was at the wedding and they were doing the divorce case with Mr. Immortal.
But
And
you know what made me feel bad though?
but Trey, look, there's a wedding happening in one plot and there's divorces happening in the second plot.
George, number one, I didn't pick up on that. That's fucking hilarious. Number two, um, the fu- Jesus Christ, dude. This is what I mean. What I said earlier. They undercut their entire fucking show, and it pisses
Yeah.
me off. If you're gonna do
When
something, do it with a dawn. George,
Yeah.
do it with a fucking dawn. If you're gonna do it with a dawn. And these stupid fuckers. Wow, a wedding episode in the middle of the series? Ugh. Whatever. I guess I'll fucking waste my time on this episode. That wasn't the exact quote, but it was pretty fucking close.
That's pretty close, yeah.
And it was like,
She said a wedding episode and uh awkwardly placed in the middle of the season or something like that, yeah.
right,
And like but they're always inconvenient. It's an inconvenient time in the season. There you go. And
right.
then she mentions that it's always done that in sitcoms. And I don't know. I don't think so. The
No.
sitcoms I watch, I rarely has a wedding episode been inconvenient. The only times I'd say were inconvenient, like were like like a pregnancy, like something that just did not fit. They're like, oh, this character's pregnant now because the actress was pregnant,
Right.
and they just had to do it. Either that, or they have to try to cover her up with stuff, and then just it's fucking obvious that girl's pregnant.
Right. And there's
Um,
reasons behind that. Like that's
Yeah.
from the writing perspective, we can understand that or give it credit a
Yeah,
little bit.
and I can literally give it a pass because yeah, you can't do nothing.
Right,
about
right.
that.
Like when they had to kill the little midget guy from
Much prefer
Passions.
them trying to cover up a pregnancy with like with objects rather than um what's it called? Than just writing that she's pregnant and then having to deal with this weird plot now.
Right.
Um, yeah.
But
They
yeah,
did it
so if,
really well in Friends. This is a tangent, my bad. They did it really well in Friends with Phoebe. I think her actress was actually pregnant, and then she was it's gonna sound weird to anyone who's never seen Friends, but she was having her brother's babies. She was a surrogate.
right,
Um,
right.
but yeah,
But that's a perfect way to introduce it because it's like, oh, it's non-committal to the plot, and
yeah,
she's big. But then you can also make jokes about it in the show, which gives more creative freedom. Let's fucking go.
exactly,
So it
exactly,
makes the plot easier to write in a way for certain episodes, and
exactly.
you found a way to introduce it in a meaningful
But
way. So,
they did something similar in WandaVision. Whenever Wanda was pregnant, she kept grabbing things and putting them in front of her belly because she was trying to hide it from um I can't remember her name.
Vision.
Monica Rambeau. Uh
Oh, oh,
yeah,
bad bitch. She was trying to kill her.
yeah. But she kept well, it was before she tried to kill her 'cause
Oh,
she didn't try to kill her till after she had the
oh,
babies.
when she was in the
But
simulation, but she didn't know it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And
okay,
she was
yeah,
but she kept grabbing stuff to cover her belly because her belly got big too quickly and she didn't want them to think it was weird and magic and crazy shit. So
right,
she kept trying to cover her belly with random objects, and it was to poke fun at sitcoms that used to do that about pregnancies.
right.
Um,
And that was
so
well placed. It was,
yeah,
and it made sense for the story. So yeah, and that's why I say I hate the fact that every fourth wall break. I don't know. I'll give you 60%. 60% of the fourth wall breaks were to shit on its own on the own show. Like, oh, and then she turns to the camera and goes, ah, "Yeah, I bet you're happy Wong is here." It gives us Twitter armor for a week.
I think I was only there's only two instances of the fourth wall breaking that I was not a big fan of, and it was that one with the Wong thing,
Right,
which said, "Oh, I see you're happy." That's because I bet you're glad Wong is back. I think that's
right.
what she said.
He's pretty much she was saying he's the only reason you watch the show to give us Twitter armor.
I wasn't even like smiling or anything. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
that actively made me mad. I was like, bro,
uh,
I'm trying because I was trying to like the show,
I
dude.
mean, I've also have been just getting, I don't know, tired of fourth wall breaking. Like it's not as the novelty is gone. I guess I'm not sure. Um,
I just think it's done shittily. There's no reason to do it. It's a literary technique like killing someone off that only means something where it means something. Like, you can't just use it everywhere. Like, I'm sorry.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
one of those techniques. Like fourth wall breaking is awesome. It's one of the most beautiful techniques, just like killing someone off. But it's only applicable to certain situations. It's
I
not
think she
like
does
the...
it. She does it at the beginning of every episode, and she does it at the end of every episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
I
think
never
so.
caught that.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't catch anything though, so that's why we talk.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't like it at the end. It felt a little too long, and it also like didn't wrap up the story, and then she just erased plot lines, and that feels weird.
Right.
Like, oh, I don't want him to be a Hulk anymore. Okay, but so does that plot line where people were stealing your blood not matter anymore?
Dude,
Does he
no,
still
that
have
shit.
your blood? Does he still have your blood? He just didn't inject himself? Like what? We didn't get an answer to that, so I
Oh, you're talking
like
about the ending.
yeah, the
Oh, no, the
extent
ending.
of
I love
the
the ending.
extent yeah, the extent of her rewriting the plot of him becoming a Hulk. How far back does that go?
It's funny that
Um,
you actually like think. How do you say it? It's funny that you like look into that far. But you look into everything that far, which is why we have a good balance. I absolutely applauded them for that ending because literally that show was hot fucking garbage, and it was
and then
like
she said it was hot garbage.
it was pretty much it was like we got to get rid of this. Like we got to just cut it, just end it, just end it now.
I definitely think it should have just they should have just I don't know. They should have just had a better ending.
Well, they couldn't. They
Instead
didn't
of,
have the
instead of
time.
just breaking the fourth wall and being like, our ending's shit, so we're gonna say it's a hot mess.
No, but they
'Cause
couldn't though.
I enjoyed the show up until that last fourth wall break, and I was like, oh, this is, oh, he actually injected himself. What the fuck is he gonna be? I literally stopped and thought, I was like, what other Hulk is there? I'm like, he's turning green. He's not gonna be Red Hulk. What? And then yeah, then she did that, and I was like, oh, well then.
I like it though because George, they couldn't. That episode was ending. They couldn't have finished the plot. There wasn't a plot to finish. They couldn't.
Yeah,
They couldn't have done it. Like they couldn't have capitalized on anything very well. They could have tried, and I'm not going to discredit the fact that maybe they could have, in like an episode or two, tried to finish it appropriately. But
I think
it
they
was
could've.
so.
But that's not the show's inherent fault. It's the writers for not planning. You have
Yes.
this many episodes. You have 9. They're all 30
Yes.
minutes.
Assuming that it wasn't a clusterfuck behind the scenes.
It probably was.
Because
It's
we
always a
all have to
clusterfuck.
give credit. So this is the
We
unfortunate
know
part. Is
we
that
knew Doctor Strange apparently was a clusterfuck behind the scenes.
I didn't know
Um,
that, but now I know.
Spider-Man Far From Home was a clusterfuck behind the scenes. They didn't even know it was gonna be like Marvel Studios was even gonna be helping with that movie because Sony was even trying to they were gonna make a what the hell is his name? The Hunter guy. Um oh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I'm blanking on
More
him.
context. Hunter guy.
The guy who hunt down Spider-Man. He has like a lion pelt on his back.
From
Craven. Craven the Hunter. There you go.
the
They were
last
gonna do a
movie.
Craven. They were gonna do a Craven the Hunter film because the
Oh,
rights they hadn't settled on the rights yet, and they were getting really too close to filming, and they already wrote the script, and they're about to cast. Well, they did cast Craven the Hunter. It was the guy who played Quicksilver in the MCU.
interesting.
Yeah, but now they're just gonna do a Craven solo film. So, um,
That could be kind of cool because it brings Peter Parker back, which is nice. We want more. I want more Tom Holland. God damn it. He
yeah.
is the best Spider-Man that cinema has ever seen. I'm sorry.
I'm
gonna stand by it.
A lot of people disagree with you, but
I will die by that because he is
uh,
the great. Because he is, and I mean this. It's funny. Did you know that when? Because I always say that Tobey Maguire looked too old. He
Agree.
didn't. He didn't have that boyish charm and that innocence that
Yeah.
Spider-Man had. He didn't even his acting is not bad, but he didn't give that to me. He didn't sell it to me, even if he did look older. The second
Yeah.
version, the second version was a fucking hot ass pretty boy who was actually
I-
older than Tobey Maguire on filming, but looked younger than he did.
I
just-
have a hot take. It might not be a hot take. I'm not sure.
It depends.
But,
It depends.
I like Andrew Garfield the most when it comes to sadness. I think he acts the best sad Peter Parker and angry Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire did not. I would say not. He didn't do a good job. He didn't do a great job as a sad or angry Peter Parker.
He looked
always
like he
looked-
was trying to take a shit. When he was
Yeah.
uncomfortable or he was angry,
Tom Holland does phenomenal though. So I don't know.
Tom
like-
Holland's, and maybe you're right. I have to go back and watch the second ones to make
Yeah.
sure that maybe he did do a better. Because normally your opinions are usually pretty fucking on point. So he may have done a better sad one, but
yeah, like
I
a
forgot
tragic
his movies.
Spider-Man.
Like I watched both of his movies and forgot all about them until we talked about it one night, and I was like, I don't remember watching those.
The people die in all the Spider-Man movies except for the Tom Holland ones. They finally had people die in No Way Home, but yeah, the way he deals with death is well, I mean, he's a does he have a fucking Oscar? I don't know if he does. I think he does. I think he got one for Dunkirk. I don't know, but he's very well decorated actor, and it does show in his performance, and he loves Spider-Man, so it definitely shows.
No, and I will say that
he did the best of what he could because it was literally that those movies were just studio meddling designs. I don't know what they're doing with the designs. Have you seen the designs of like Green Goblin or Electro for
No.
the Amazing Spider-Man movies? Oh God, they're terrible. They had to redesign Electro for No Way Home.
I see, dude, I liked it. Oh baby,
Right? With the Timberlands?
oh baby. Yo, but nah, I think Tobey Maguire though. It's easy for me to shit on him,
Yeah.
but he did so many scenes so well. Like especially the train scene where he's fucking like holding on with both arms and shit.
That was really good, yeah.
And then honestly, listen, I swear to God, his scene, his acting ability. Let me put it in context for everyone who thinks I shit on him as Spider-Man, because he is my, I don't want to say the weakest, but he might be the
Weakest for you?
weakest Spider-Man for
I
me.
think he might be one of the weakest for me.
But-
I would say his movies aren't the weakest for me, but I think the actor is definitely the weakest. for me.
Right, and the thing is, it's not because he didn't do a good job. Because when that fucker looks, and he let that fucker run by, and he said, "Thanks, kid," and like fucking, he let him go by, and then he finds out that he killed Uncle Ben, and he loses his fucking shit. Oh my God, dude, Tobey Maguire did. I was about to cry.
All right.
Tobey Maguire did such a
You want to
fucking
walk it back to She Hulk real quick?
bro. We need to, But tell me, no, he did such a fucking amazing job. But his actual features,
Yeah,
like his actual human features, Tom Holland has the greatest human features to look like Spider-Man. And his high-pitched voice does a fucking phenomenal job with, oh my god, hey, Mr. Captain America, sorry I took your shield.
his boy voice. Yeah, his like
I
little.
fucking love it, dude. He's so
Yeah,
perfect.
he does.
He is
He
the
passes off as a
16-year-old
teenager.
Spider-Man. Like,
He passes off as a teenager way better than the other two.
yes, he's the
Oh,
16-year-old Spider-Man. I think the Amazing Spider-Man was like a 22-year-old sexy boy who should be in a club banging hoes, and and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was like a 25-year-old awkward chemist who should be like talking about philosophy or something. I don't know. It's just their physical
chemist
features.
philosopher. Neat.
They matter a lot. I know it sucks because good actors are good actors, which is why Tobey Maguire is fucking amazing acting. But his physical shit. It's why Robert Downey Jr. and fucking Wolverine, those two
He's a
fucking
good
Hugh
boy.
Jackman, they are those characters. Like I'm sorry, they are the character. They just look, walk, talk, act.
Oh, they're a minority who don't like Jackman as Wolverine.
yeah,
'Cause
they
he's
better be a
too
fucking
tall.
minority. They
They,
better
they,
be a
they,
fucking minority.
they complained about his height, and I said, "Bro,
Wolverine was stumpy.
no, he's too tall."
Oh, okay. I was about
Yeah.
to say, but he's not that
They
tall.
complain-
He's not even
They
6 foot.
complain that he's too tall because Wolverine is supposed to be tiny and short and stumpy.
Yeah, but
and,
he's not. Listen, he's obviously not 5'4", but Hugh
uh,
Jackman's like what 5'8", 5'10",
Hugh
maybe
Jackman's 6 feet,
6.
and Wolverine is I think 5'4".
Right. So I knew that he couldn't be. But also Wolverine hunches.
Okay, so I mean he's 5'8". My bad.
So he's 5'8". So if he would have hunched more, I think he could have pulled off the Wolverine look a little better. But Wolverine only hunches in combat. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, back to She-Hulk actors. We got actors. We got on actors, what they look like, who they play, how they act.
He's 5'3", not hunching.
5'3", not hunching. Interesting. So Wolverine was stumpy.
And Hugh Jackman's 6'2". But yeah,
6'2".
they're a vocal minority. I don't care.
Okay, I didn't know he was 6'2".
Yeah, he's got about a foot on real Wolverine, but
Right.
Wolverine.
He didn't seem tall in his scenes though.
Real Wolverine, but whatever. Like,
But he never seemed tall in his scenes.
well, it's because they hired a bunch of other tall actors.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that's how it worked. Nah, because I will say though, when he started off against Cyclops, him and
Either
Cyclops
that or
stared
he's hanging
down.
out with a bunch of teenagers, so it would just look weird if he was short. It was the same height as teenagers, but was a full grown man.
Right. But when he started off against Cyclops, he was the same height, or at least maybe a little bit taller.
I think they were the same height.
Right. So it was close enough that it was comparable. And
Yeah.
Wolverine, the reason I think he also was relatable is he had little man syndrome. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It made him compelling in that way. But they don't have to have little man
They also
syndrome.
made him. They've also made him more of a main character in that when he's not really a main character in the X-Men comics. I mean, he's a big character. He's a very famous character. That's why he crosses over outside of X-Men and goes into like Avengers.
I actually
And-
seen an interesting video about that. Was about the fact that Rogue, what happened to Rogue?
Yeah.
That was the title of the video. Hashtag credit to whoever the fuck made that because I don't really watch that many videos, and if I do, I don't remember their names. But
Yeah. Cyclops was 5'10", the actor.
okay, so he must have he must have put like some stilts on or something to help that
Big
work.
boots.
Yeah.
Still boot.
But yeah, no, they talked about Rogue and what happened. I always liked Rogue in the animated series, but I was never in like with Rogue, right? But apparently, Rogue was one of the most impactful and memorable and best written characters that X-Men had ever seen in the comics.
Yeah.
I didn't get that from animated series. I didn't read X-Men except for later on in life in high school.
Loved
I started reading.
I read later X-Men comics. I didn't read the early ones.
Yeah, right. I read the
So-
later ones where they had better art, and I read the one where
I read
what was
with
the one
Emma
where
Frost and all that.
what was the one where fuck Wolverine fucked Jean Grey.
I don't remember that one at all.
I don't remember that one.
I just know what happened because my uncle had it. I don't know nothing about it.
Right, but apparently I watched this
I'm
video
pretty
anyway.
sure
They're-
it came out whenever the movies were coming out because I think they weren't a thing in the comics until the movies. Because I know around that time they started like Blade wasn't a vampire in the comics until he was a vampire in the movies, and so they made him a vampire in the comics. Jean Grey and Wolverine
Oh.
weren't a thing, and then they were kind of they had like chemistry, so they wrote it into the comics that way.
So maybe I actually
After
was reading those comics before I watched that movie. It's a possibility because
maybe,
I was
maybe.
reading them in high school. It was like ninth grade, but I was reading
Yeah.
those in high school,
Yeah.
which means it
So
was
yeah,
like 2004. So like that.
high
No,
school. You were in 2000? No,
oh,
that's 2004.
2006.
Oh, so you graduated in 2010?
10. Yeah, no, that was
Yeah.
2006. Sorry.
Yeah.
And the movie had been out by 2006. So and then
Yeah.
also it's in the school library, which means it had to have been a relevant enough publication that they would have adopted it into the library.
Yeah.
They're not going to adopt, you know, early 90s
Uh,
cartoons into a library in 2006. Or,
yeah.
yeah, so they're not going to do so. Makes sense. Maybe I did read those because I remember reading that, and the
Yeah.
art style was very different. If you look at the older style X-Men comics, the art style is not what I remember.
I love the older ones that look like the animated series. Those are my
Right. I
favorite.
do like I like the animated series. I don't like them. I don't prefer the art style, but I like it in a way. I respect it somehow.
It's very nostalgic to me.
Yes.
So.
Okay. Yes. That's a good word. I did think of on a side tangent. Let's go on another one. Fucking short story long.
It's like a cool side tangent.
I'm sorry,
Oh
but
my
like I was thinking about manga versus anime, right? Or manga versus
Yeah, yeah.
comics. Manga versus comics. I think comics are a better read. I said it. I don't think comics have a better story. Well, hear me out. That because that was a hot take as fuck. But it's the fact
I
that
sort of agree, depending on how
um,
you explain this.
it's the fact that when I look at comic art, like no shit, I seen the cover of something. It was Batman issue something, or fucking Injustice issue something. Just the fucking cover, and I stared. Oh man, I just fucking stared, and I was like, holy shit, dude. And the style of it all, it's so fucking stylistic. Every character,
Yeah.
even though they're the same style, looks so unique. It's just page for page. The full color matters. I'm sorry. Full color versus black and white is, I want to say objectively better. I can't technically say objectively better, but goddamn, it's a lot more compelling somehow. I think full color
Subjectively better.
is better in some way. But,
I prefer black and white.
uh,
Um,
interesting. So, and as I said, that's what I said. I can't say objectively better, but it does.
I do like the color. I
something
do like
for me.
color pages.
When
but
I see the
I
shading,
like manga in color, but I've never read that's a lie. The Walking Dead was black and white, and I read that. Um,
no, and it matters the style. Let me
it was
correction.
emo.
Correction.
Yeah.
It matters the style. Take
Yeah.
a Marvel comic, make it like the New Age Marvel comics with the
Yeah.
beautiful shading. Good God, take a new Marvel comic, make it black and white. It probably looks like shit. Their media is drawn with all of those color palettes. It's drawn in a way that the colors blend together and it makes this beautiful shading, this depth, this awesome, crazy shit.
Mhm.
Manga, Japanese manga, Korean too, but it comes from all places. But it's made with the line work and the detail in prominence. So when you see manga, like you said, manga color pages in color, I'm not blown away. I almost want to say I like the black and white better.
I
Depends.
honestly do. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
manga color pages look like shit compared to comic book color pages.
Yeah.
But go make a Marvel comic color page black and white. It probably looks like ass. We've never seen it. It probably looks like shit.
It's because like a lot of times their shading isn't their shading techniques aren't the same. The
No.
shading techniques in manga is like lines instead of like just solid, and like
Right.
it's solid in certain areas where it needs to be pitch black. Their shadings all I'm not gonna say better, but
It's different techniques.
it's made the shading is made for black and white comics,
Right.
whereas the shading in Marvel comics are made for inked
Right.
pages, color inked pages.
Right.
So
No, and that's why I say
it's
so.
it's made to contrast the color. So definitely
Right.
wouldn't look good in black and white.
And that's kind of what I mean. And
Yeah.
that's why I said I can't say something objectively, but there's something about certain things. But then I thought about it when you mentioned manga. I was like, oh, manga color pages aren't as good. I was like, you got something to say about that. And I think, overall, I love the new art. I literally could sit there and watch Marvel comic new art and just look at it.
Yeah.
Just
I
page
love
for
the
page.
I can't remember his name. He did the Batman versus fucking Red Hood comic book where Red Hood fucking shot Penguin in the face. That was probably my favorite one to read that's come out in the past 10 years.
Right.
And I've reread it like 3 times. It's got how much I fucking look. When Batman backhands Red Hood and breaks his fucking helmet, so good.
No, and the thing is, yeah, when I look at like Hulk comics, Jesus Christ, dude, the art. I can't comprehend how the art. I just look at it. It's like it's immersive, and I do feel that. I think that Marvel comics and like comic book style, the new age crazy shit. I think it's more immersive than manga style art. In a way, the depth of the color, the depth of the page, the depth of the everything. It just makes me in it. And now you could argue that some things are lazy. Like I think about reading Naruto in like the later half. I don't remember looking at a Naruto page and feeling like I was in that world. Now the character faces and the emotion on the face, yeah. And like some of the certain things, like I've seen some shots of Hajime no Ippo, no, Eppo, the female
Ippo.
MMA manga.
Oh,
I
no,
want to read
I
that
don't know.
shit.
I haven't read that. No.
I want to read it, dude. It looks really fucking good, dude. That shit looks really good.
You said Eppo?
Eppo, I think it's called Eppo. Was it? Fuck.
EPO?
I'm gonna find it. Hold on. I wrote it down today because I actually was watching a video about it today and I couldn't watch for spoilers and I wanted to read it because it
Alright.
seemed really fucking good.
You want to go back
Tepu.
to She-Hulk after this tangent?
Yes, we are going to. It was called Tepu.
Tepu. Okay.
Looks really fucking good. So we got onto design stories, comics, old comics, new comics, how they were written, characters.
Talking about, yeah, characters. One from Spider-Man.
Before Spider-Man,
so-
yep. Back to Spider-Man. Okay, Spider-Man was brought up because of acting, maybe.
Yeah.
Good
We're
actors,
talking
actors
about
that fill the
character
role.
moments.
Character
We're talking about character
moments.
moments. Yeah, with the cast of She-Hulk. They didn't get enough
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Back to sitcoms where we left off, and how
Yes.
we think it should have been longer. Which okay, we're good. Back on track. See, listen, guys. Whoever's listening to this, see, we always make it back. I think yeah. No, the question started. The question started with George. Do you think objectively, it could have been a great show if it had 18 episodes? Great. Not. It could have been okay. Half edge. I'm hedging my bets. Yes or no? Great.
With the level of writing that was in the show,
Oh, that's a caveat. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
a
little bit better writing.
Then yes.
Okay, I was gonna say with a little bit, not even too much, not even a dramatic.
That's what I'm saying.
dramatic-
With the level of the writing that was in that show, I would say 18 episodes would definitely would there because there's a lot of filler in just the 9 episodes. I don't know if I could take all that filler in 18 episodes.
We're right, and then the question is, how do they
Again,
make
like
those
sitcoms
scenes-
always have filler. There's a lot of
Right.
scenes that don't matter, but oftentimes they're thematic.
Well, it's like One Piece. Did
Yeah.
you know that the scene of that's filler, air quotes? It's actually, I want to say it's in the manga for like half a panel. But it's in anime. It's more prevalent in the anime. The scene where Usopp is fishing and Sanji's cooking, and he's like, "Who wants food?" And then Nami's like, "Oh, something." Like all the dudes like, "Give me some food. I'm hungry." Like, "Fuck you!" And he kicks him in the fucking chest and says, "Your food's over here," and gives them a singular plate. One giant plate, just a mound of food, and then gives the 2 girls like all the fucking delicious handmade treats.
Yes. Yes.
That scene has nothing to do with anything. It's air quotes filler, but it makes
It's
the love of
it's
the
character.
characters.
It informs character.
Right,
That's what I was
so-
trying to get to with filler.
Sorry, I cut you
Filler
off.
can't. Yeah, filler can't just be filler for the sake of filler. It has to inform character, and it can't just be
Oh,
adding
okay.
nothing. Like if it's something we already know, it's already been hammered to us. You can't do that. Or
Well,
it
hold
could or it could just
we
help
already knew that
set
Sanji
up
was the cook
the
and he likes
nuance.
women.
Yeah.
We already knew they were a bunch of ingrates who were just hungry men. We already
Yeah.
knew everything about those characters, but in that scene, it mattered. They're going to this place and acting this way. One Piece
Yeah.
has a shit ton of that.
Yeah.
These characters act this way. We know they act this way, and we see it again.
Mhm.
How many times do we see their parties and Luffy has the chopsticks and Chopper has the chopsticks? And it's fucking,
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah, but
dancing
it's
and
always like
laughing.
one-off. It's just like a one-off scene. It's not really like that, like big.
I mean, it's at least half an episode, depending on the
Really? I don't
moment.
know. I don't know. I don't watch the anime that much.
No, those I think those matter a lot.
Okay.
Like I said, like the
Fair.
the
Fair.
entire
I was
episode of them stuck on a plane. Click on options. That's the same glove episode. I'm pretty sure that's the same episode.
Yeah.
The entire episode was stuck on a plane talking about bullshit and in a
Well,
fucking glove
you're
box.
talking about the later season of How I Met Your Mother that I actually have the most criticisms about. So,
But that episode was
I
really
think the
good.
entire, yeah, those jokes were funny, but I definitely think that the entire last season of How I Met Your Mother should have just been reduced down to a movie, or just two tacked on, like make the season before two more episodes.
And I guess hold on, I will say this: I haven't watched the show all the way through. I've
Yeah.
caught episodes here and there.
I'll
So
say
for
that,
me, that episode was
it's
interesting because I got to see those
the
characters
first
talking
like
shit to each other.
6 seasons are, I would say, gold. Not gold. Okay, I take it back. I'll bring it back a little bit. It's they're good. They're really good. The first 6 seasons. They kind of
Right.
stumble season 7 because like the entire show is about Ted trying to find his love, the love of his life, and then
Mhm.
season 7 is them kind of breaking the sitcom formula. He's like meets some girl uh that he's madly in love with, but she goes against his work because she's like protesting this building that he wants to get. He wants to build this building, but they have to break down this building, and she's like super loves ancient, not ancient, but she likes
Architecture, historical shits.
historical buildings and stuff like that. So she don't want her to get tear down. So she's like, so he has to choose between this girl he's madly in love with or his career. And I was like, that kind of breaks
I've seen
the
that
whole
before a
format
couple
of the
times at
entire show,
least.
huh?
I've seen that at least once.
Yeah,
Before.
that's that entire season. That's him and her.
Oh, that's the whole
Uh,
season.
Yeah, for the most part, each season is yeah, there. He'll be
Ooh.
single either in the beginning of the season or like somewhere towards the middle of the season. He'll hit on he'll date a couple girls here and there, go on random dates. But for the most part, he has one girlfriend each season, and then just the relationship with that girlfriend
That
for that
feels like a
season.
6 episode kind of thing.
Uh, no, that's like the entire season.
See, well, when I say it feels like a 6 episode kind of thing, it's because if you have that tension, that's very strong tension. It doesn't go away. That's like drama ending, high impact tension.
Mm,
So for me, that kind of tension should be resolved quickly. Because if it's
mhm.
not, it's going to drag, and if it drags, it feels unrealistic.
Well, initially they started off as he met this girl randomly. He was looking at the building because he's an architecture nerd and he actually likes the old building as well. He likes old things. It's already been established at this point. And then he gets this job for GMB. He's always had the dream to build skyscraper in New York City, and then he has to take down this building, and he feels depressed about it. He meets her outside of the building because he's going to go look at the building, and she's also protesting the building or getting shut down broken down at the point.
Right.
And then he thinks she's single, and then he decides he's gonna help her not get the building taken down, and then he completely changes his mind whenever he sees that she has a wedding ring on, so she's married. So it ends up they just fucking hate each other now, and now he wants to take down the building. uh but then she ends up becoming friends with his friends, and then
Ooh, the layers are
uh
thick.
yeah, so it's not as bad as you think it is. It is very well written and executed, and it has like an actual
Yeah,
progression
yeah,
to it.
that's
It's not just
good.
they didn't just start dating in the beginning of the season, but the beginning of the season is when he met her and they had an attraction, or he had an attraction. Can't say she did. Um, but
Well, coming
yeah,
to a
then
bigger scheme, you've noticed a lot of things I don't notice.
yeah,
Is it okay to be formulaic?
yes,
Because most people ignore it. Like, you notice it. I don't most of the time. It's like, oh yeah. Like, for example, she has a monologue at the beginning of the end of every episode. I didn't fucking notice that. I'm just like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't notice anything. Like, oh yeah, so every season he has a new girlfriend. This happens like this happens like that. I'm like, hmm. I won't notice those things in the moment.
yeah.
But for people who notice them, they talk shit about them. Right? Like
I,
critics, for example. Critics will lose their fucking mind. Wow, another season where this just
I
happens.
mean,
For example, people who bitch
I
about
had the time
Bleach.
when I was like 18, I used to bitch about stuff like that. But I think it's something that like when you notice it initially, at least when you first, if you're a person who like likes to look at movies and shows and what makes them good,
Right,
and you
right, right.
first start noticing stuff, and you go, oh, that's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's boring. It sucks. But I think as you get older, or maybe
You
think
can say
about it
it.
better.
More intelligent. You can say it.
uh,
Just say it. When you become more
formula, you
intelligent, when
can
you become a
follow
better
a
man.
formula because it makes good like One Piece. I bitched about One Piece at one point. I said that I told Ken. I said they go to a new place. There's two groups having conflict. They join one side, and then they help them, and then they leave.
You watch South Park, right?
Yeah,
You ever seen when he was making fun of Dog the Bounty Hunter?
yeah, I love that.
I'm gonna whoop your ass. Okay, now come give it Jesus, man. You're gonna give it Jesus right now. Okay, come give it Jesus right now.
Bruh. But no, you can make like that. I like formulas because especially with sitcoms. Sitcoms are supposed to be formulaic, because sitcoms are supposed to, nothing really changes in a sitcom, and you're supposed to be swept away by it, or not swept away by it. That's like an epic fantasy. You're supposed to just be comforted by it. Like nothing changes, nothing's bad. Nothing like, oh, some bad things may happen, but it always comes back to being normal at the end. So you're just supposed to be comfortable.
It's a representation. It's a continuous representation of your life.
Yeah.
Like, hey, me and my friends are struggling in college with this. Hey, me and my friends are struggling post-college with this.
Yeah.
Hey, me and my friends are struggling in high school with this, or whatever. It's just, hey, we're struggling with these things that all people struggle with of all ages. How do we get through it again and again and again and again and again?
Mm-hmm.
Which comes to the point where you have to make sure it's well done in between.
Sitcoms are formulaic. It's a sitcom. It's still on topic, and the fact it being formulaic is not bad for a sitcom.
No, but that was about formulaic in general. When I asked you if formulaic was good or bad, we left on She-Hulk and that discussion on filler, and how filler leaves most shows feeling You said most sitcoms have formulaic filler, and then we talked about what is formulaic, what is filler, what is bad filler, what the One Piece, and then we were gone.
Yeah, and I was talking about how One Piece filler can enhance character.
Right, and then because I asked you if it would be good if it was 19 episodes, and we kind of agreed that if it had a little bit better writing, not even too much better, but a little bit better writing, more time with the characters, it would have been fine. No, well done. It would have been well done, ideally, as an 18-episode show. So, back to the whole shit. Speaking of filler, characters I loved felt like filler. The Matador?
Yeah.
Boy, that fucker said, just because I am Spanish and a passion does not mean I'm a matador.
Yeah.
He was fucking hilarious. But he looked ridiculous. He was stupid fucking looking. He had no part to play in the plot, and he wasn't good. I liked the character, but he was fucking useless. He just wasn't good.
Think about him. There might be some thematic reason as to why he was there, or like something, but he's not there for no reason.
Right, I don't disagree.
He does feel like he's there for no reason.
Right. So all of those characters, the bull, the armadillo, the bull, all the fucking stupid fuckers, even the guy they brought back from the stupid raid. By the way, when I watched that episode, tell me your initial feelings in the episode. Stupid goons. Yeah, we're here to steal your blood. And then she beats the fuck out of them. What are you guys, a bunch of stupid goons who robbed an Asgard warehouse? Yes.
Well, it was a Asgardian construction worker.
Yeah, Asgardian construction worker. Whatever. She was like, so you just robbed somebody and you're just stupid assholes? Well, yeah. You responded with a yes. You undermined the fuck out of that entire scene. And then they get in the fucking van and they were like, mission failed. I didn't get the blood. I was like, ooh, shit. This show's getting good. I was like, this show is actually developing a deep plot. And they threw that in the trash for the rest of the fucking show. And I'm kind of mad. I'm like, I think that's pretty bad. Like,
you do anything with the blood on it, like the entire show, they don't do anything with the blood because the one dude takes the blood and then she rewrites it where he doesn't inject himself with the blood. What happened to the blood? Did they not get the blood now, or did they get the blood and it's somewhere else now with the
Right. No, it's terrible. Also, I said this before, and we can't get into too much in this because we want to wrap up with like what we would do differently. But definitely, I felt
content for She-Hulk.
Huh?
To really, I don't think we have enough content of the show She-Hulk.
I can tell you the entire story. I can tell you how it would work and everything.
Okay.
Matter of fact, you know what? I don't know. What do we miss before we wrap up? Because I want to wrap up eventually. What do we miss?
Daredevil. You said
Daredevil. Yo, Daredevil pissed me off. Only. Not because he was good. Oh, I fucking loved him. He was amazing. I loved everything about his character from start to finish. The only thing I don't like is because I know this was SJW written, is that they objectified the fuck out of his character, which I'm kind of okay with in a sense. I think it was
How come?
a little bit poorly done. I think he's a stronger character than that. But
Did you watch the Daredevil show?
which one? The new one or the movie? Carmen Electra?
I
Or
said show.
there isn't a show yet, right?
There's been a show. Yes,
I thought the show was coming out later.
the show already came out.
I'm pretty sure. I thought this was a prequel to the shows.
No, the show came out a while back. It came out on just Netflix.
Was it tied to the Marvel Universe
Yes.
on
They,
Netflix
they yes,
with
they
the same
started.
actor?
Yes.
Really? It's
Um,
been out. I didn't even know that.
It was on Netflix years ago. Whenever it was it, we were in phase 2. Oh no, hold on. Phase 3. Because during phase 2 we had only Shield. We just had Agents of Shield. That was the only show that was out. And then Agents of Shield ended around the time that the Winter Soldier came out. Because the finale had to do with all the Hydra being part of Shield, and then some of the guys that we came to know in the show, we were like bad guys and shit like that. And then yeah, they made the Daredevil show, the Jessica Jones show, the Luke Cage show, Iron Fist, during phase 3, post Avengers 2.
I'm still here. Go on. Yes.
You're like, I don't know these shows.
No, I knew those shows. I just didn't watch them. Like
Yeah,
after
they're
after the
part-
success of the
they're
movies,
part-
Agents
they're
of Shield
part
came
the
out,
MCU.
and I was like, okay, so you're gonna try and milk this fucking cash cow for as much as you can?
Yeah,
I'm not
the Daredevil
watching.
show was the best of the 5 shows they made, because they also made Punisher eventually.
I heard that was
But-
really good. Ken loved it.
Kane loved it. I
Yeah.
didn't talk to Kane about Punisher.
Yeah, I said
he
Kane
likes
because I know Kane loves Punisher. I was like, yo, you like Punisher? He's like, dude, that shit
I
was
don't think he
good.
watched the show. I'm pretty sure he's talking about the old movie.
Oh fuck, maybe. I mean, you can ask him again to confirm, but I
Yeah,
mentioned
I
it
don't
while the
think he
show was
watched the
popular. I
Punisher
mentioned
show.
it in regards to the show that had come out, and you know he's up with pop culture dates. Like,
Not always, but yeah. He watches a bunch of random shows with Katie that not really like, yeah.
Right.
And usually he'll watch like 1 or 2 episodes and be like, all right, I don't feel like watching any more of this. But yeah, no, fuck, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Daredevil.
Right.
Yeah, Daredevil show was the best in my opinion of the shows, and then yeah, Jessica Jones was good, Luke Cage was good. Iron Fist, I didn't watch, but everybody said it was just terrible, so I should probably go back and watch that.
right, we have to do that for an episode, right?
Yeah, exactly. But God, the Netflix shows are like 45-minute episodes, and they have like 20 episodes, I think. Or
Oh
10, I
god
don't know.
damn.
Yeah, no, fuck. But
That was a big problem I had with Flash. I thought Flash was fucking sick.
I didn't watch Flash.
It was really good. In the beginning it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and then it was like 15 seasons later I'm like so
I don't like the design of the costumes for the CW show. They just look like cosplay to me.
a little bit, yeah. It's cheesy. When I watch the
Yeah.
show, I think the acting is cheesy. The show
I
is
heard
cheesy.
the Superman. I heard the Superman show that came out recently is really good.
All right,
I
I
don't
gotta
know.
watch The Boys. I've heard nothing but raving reviews from The Boys.
Woo! I haven't watched season 2 or 3, but actually that's what I was gonna mention that She Hulk feels like a PG-13 version of The Boys, but with worse writing.
Right.
Because it's superheroes in like if they were in the real world, essentially.
Right, which I like.
There's politics. There's the Justice League equivalent are all a bunch of shithead, dickhead, narcissists.
Right.
Yeah.
No, trust me, I know the premise. I like it. Like, and I've
Yeah.
heard reviews that said when they bring
it's a
up
little too gore porny for me. I would say I do like the first season, but I watched like I don't know the first episode or 2 of season 2, and I was like, it's starting to get really just gore porny.
I don't. Yeah, never mind. I'm not a big fan of that.
No.
That's why I don't like most horror movies because horror movies are gore and jump scares, and that's enough, right? Question mark?
Not my favorite ones, but yes.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, no, neither mine.
Yeah.
It's like,
Also, I love the first Saw movie, and I have a
ooh,
soft spot.
Saw's a good one.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Saw 2, but the rest of them go be deleted from
Right.
ever.
No, because they were.
It's the thing.
Listen, as somebody who doesn't like most horror movies because they're just cheap, Saw was good. Saw was so compelling. There were moments because I'm
There's
more of like
more in the
a
first one. Like there's like it's just fucking tense and
yes,
fucking scary.
compelling. You want more.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I don't want more. Give me more. Like you're literally telling yourself, I don't want to see anymore.
Like
Please,
everyone
I
past
need
the second
more.
one is just, hey, look at this. Look at this dude fucking explode. Look at this guy fucking rip his fucking skin from his fucking face off. Like it's just you
Right.
look at all this gross shit. Like I don't understand how you it sold the first Saw movie the way it was, and then and think, oh, people like seeing people cut their feet off. What?
Right. Now that wasn't the point. Like my favorite scene of that movie was when that one bitch escaped. The jaw trap
Yeah.
reverse, the reverse bear trap.
Yeah.
Bro. God damn, I was no the dude who burned alive. The tension. The
Yeah.
tension. It's just it builds so much tension.
That was the
and
second one,
so-
but yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
the second one?
Yeah, the burned alive guy. That was the second one.
The
Yeah.
candle on the
Was it-
walls?
Yeah.
No, it was yeah, it built so much tension. It was
Wait,
like
wait, was it? Oh no, that was it the first one?
I'm
Hold
pretty
on.
sure I only ever saw the
So the
first
guy
one.
that burned the guy. Was it? I don't remember if there was there a guy. Oh, he was covered in gasoline. And he was holding a candle. Right, that was the first one. That was the first one.
Yes, no, that
Um,
shit was so compelling. I
um,
was like, bro, you gotta get out of there. And it's good because it gives you something to root for, but it also gives you something to fear. But the reason you root for them is because you're scared. It's like Michael Myers chasing somebody. You're rooting for the guy to get away, but you're scared that they'll get caught. And that
Yeah.
tension, the tension is good. You have to have that.
yeah.
Most horror, and this is literally why Michael Myers is still selling 40 years. Not that bad, but 50, 20, 100 years later, Michael Myers is still in theaters. It's a dude chasing somebody very slowly. Why is that good? Because it's the essence of what makes a good horror movie. I care about you and your motivations. You need to get the fuck out of there. But I'm scared because you're not going to be able to do it. But you have to try harder. And I want to know how you can do better to get out of there. And how is the bad guy going to stop you? And the tension between those two. It builds. It's good.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of all horror movies. And it's like they forget that. Like, go back to the classics. It's the same fucking thing. Like this, it's hard to think about. You have trained professionals. Yeah, I took video production for like 3 years, and I literary analysis on my free time. But I'm not those guys, right? I'm not a fucking multimillionaire professional fucking director for horror movies. But you would have to imagine they know horror movies better than me, and I know that that's what makes a good one. Like that's go to the basics, and they can't do it. Sidetrack. Anyway, we're sidetracked.
I was
We
about-
have to wrap up. Back to the fact.
How'd you feel about Leapfrog?
Leapfrog. Oh no, I thought that he was good. I think that he was good. I think that he shouldn't have been cheesy in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I liked Leapfrog on the back half being a
When he
bad
was-
guy.
Yeah.
I did not like him as a cheesy good guy in the beginning, and this is because it's poorly written. I'm sorry, it's all poorly fucking written. And then maybe it's poorly shot. Let's call the fucking filmographers, not the writers. Call the filmographers. It was
Yeah.
he was shown in the first scene. Listen, bad guys, I'll stop you from robbing this department store. Then gets fucked and gets beat. See ya, and then leaves. And it's like, so number one, was he running away? Was he weak? Is he a booster gold? I was like, I was okay if
He
he was
wasn't running away. I think he was doing a fucking special move.
right, and I'm okay with that, right? I thought he was a booster gold. I thought he was a fucking joke, right?
Yeah.
But he was trying to be a good guy. Immediately after they go to court, yeah, I use rocket fuel. Fuck you. So then Jen's story takes precedence, again, as most of it does. It
Yeah.
undercuts the fuck out of his story, because he was a plot device for her relationship with her tailor. He didn't matter. He literally ended up being a plot device for her relationship with her tailor, and it was fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
He could have been better, and they brought him back. It's like, and I liked it. I'm mad about it because it was still poorly written. But when they brought him back, and it was like he kidnapped your tailor, I was like, holy shit, this got deep as fuck. Let's go, because I liked it. I was like, yo. He fucked the tailor, he got bought suit from the tailor. The tailor fucking made the good suit. He lied about it because he's a dickhead. Now you find out he's a bad guy. And then fucking he kid him the tailor. He was a dickhead the whole time. I love it. But why did you introduce him as a wannabe, nerdy, relatable good guy? Like, don't do that. Like, you give me something. I think in his introductory scenes, he should have
just like a twist, because like she wouldn't have. Maybe she would have still tried to help him, even if he was just a dickhead from the start.
It wasn't a good twist, though.
Yeah, I agree.
It wasn't a good twist. Like, I'm okay with that. And in your defense, yes, it would have been a good twist, but it wasn't done well. I think as the reader,
I think that's what they were thinking, not
right. No, you're right. And I agree with. And I heard a review about the show say the show thinks it's a lot smarter than it is.
Yeah.
And I don't sentiment many people's views, except maybe mine or yours, because most people are fucking jackass who want views on YouTube. I have to agree in a lot of sense, because we've talked about it many times. You were like, yeah, they were doing this and this. And I was like, really? Were they doing that? And then I'm like, yeah, but they did it so shittily I never saw it. That makes sense. So it makes sense why better literary dudes, they're not like us. They don't go through the entire plot and discuss everything objectively. They just bitch and say, yeah, this story thought it was smart, but it wasn't. What does that mean?
Literary dudes are actually really good. A lot of people who are bitching are just random guys who are dickheads and think they're hot shit. And
well, this guy wasn't wrong. The show did think it was much smarter and much more received than it was.
Yeah,
throughout, but he didn't. He didn't go into detail. We go into detail mostly because I rant.
I was mostly just going on like most of the shit on YouTube isn't actual literary analysis people. It's mostly just like all the
clickbait.
The buzz about this show has been mostly guys who just bitch about things. At least that's what I've seen.
No, you're right. No, the guys I watch, if I do watch a guy, I respect their literary analysis, and if I don't, I'll never watch them again. And the guys that I respected, but they don't explain anything. They just kind of this shit sucked. And I'm like, well, you didn't give me nothing. That's why our show exists. Because if somebody wants to spend 6 hours and learn truly the details.
Yeah, we're cutting out a lot of the tangents. all the irrelevant tangents are getting cut out. If there's stuff that informs some of the stuff, I'll leave it in.
Nah, do that. This is why it's going to be hard for you to edit this. That's why I said we should record on Thursdays, publish on... I said Fridays, but I publish on fucking next Wednesday.
Tuesday,
yeah. Publish on Tuesdays if you have to, because there's gonna be a lot of editing with this, because we take a long time. But anyway,
I have to download an editor.
Right. There's some. Make sure you get one that's not Windows Movie Maker. It can't handle files that are too big. It freezes up and crashes.
Shit. But yeah, all right.
But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, no. I think overall, yeah, that was hard to receive. His character, it was like, I don't like the transition, because you just seem like a wimpy, cheesy, trying to be a hero guy, which I can respect. Like, you're a bitch, but you suck. You're not a hero. You're not fucking buff. But then he became a fucking complete asshole dickhead, and I was like, well, now I don't like you, and you're a piece of shit. Now you're the bad guy. But it was like, but you weren't. Then why were you a good guy? You know what I mean? Like, if they would have made him a bad guy from the beginning, I'd be cool. But they just never did. And then, oh, by the way, we haven't talked about this. We have to talk about this. We have to talk about everything. And this is why it's hard to be a podcast. We normally forget some of these things on the bridge in the water.
That's fine. No.
But Abomination. We brought him up once the entire night.
Yeah, if you liked him, you said yeah.
When I was watching the show, one thing I loved in the first couple of episodes was Abomination. Because the things that they brought up, the legal things they brought up, were very, very relevant to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and she handled them perfectly. She was the bad bitch lawyer who defends mutants, or not, but supers. And it was like she played that role, and he played that role very well. And I was like, let's fucking go. And it felt really good. And then they dropped it for stupid fuckers like Invincible Man, or the fucking The Bull and Matador, and fucking whatever the fuck. I'm like, fuck these, and the Frog.
Like, who would be really good? Who do you think would have been really good to add into it?
You want to get into this? You want to get into this?
Yeah, I want to get into
my retelling.
Who do you think? Who do you? I guess it's like a second section of the podcast. Okay. Who do you think they should have had her as their clients in the story?
Here's my retelling.
Okay.
My retelling from the beginning. The beginning was great. I loved it. Outside of the stupid nitpicky, it's a lawyer show. Fuck the lawyer show. Just Don't even do that. Just start with a car crash. Start with. Don't even give me a fucking intro. Start with the fucking crash and introduce those things as they come about, because that's how you want me to be. Don't even bother present time. It's a waste of time. It wasted my time. So, start with the past. And Bruce, we already know the show. Everything they did was fine. I agree with almost all they did. I think that I'm on the fence. She was a stupid bitch to Bruce, and I felt some SJW writing in there. Wasn't happy about it. But write that better. Keep it. Keep her bitchiness. That's Bruce's cousin. Do you know how much shit I talk to my cousin?
Yeah.
Like, no, I want her to talk shit. I want her to be disrespectful in a way. I want her to be unassuming of Bruce's position. They're family. I like that. But it had too much SJW influence for their dialogue. Rewrite that a little bit. But the whole premise was beautiful. It was beautiful, George. The premise was beautiful. Because he told her, you're going to have to deal with this. You're going to have to deal with these things. You're a fucking superhero now. And I love her comebacks. I can control myself. You can't. Ooh, and she was right, too. And she's a bad bitch, too. She can control that shit. She really couldn't sometimes. But he played that up. He was like, hey. And woke her up, and she woke up fucking angry Hulk lady. And he was like, yeah, you're a crazy Hulk bitch. You can destroy everything. He was like, reinforcements on this. And he brought up the real life situations. He was like, you have to reinforce all your clothes, reinforce your bed, reinforce your house. I love it. She was so stupid to think she can just go back to her regular life. I loved their dynamic, and I loved how much stronger Bruce was than she was. Not in a male dominance thing, but the motherfucking, he was 3 times her size in Hulk form. And and they did this in the show. She was talking shit. She was like, yeah, I mastered this. And she threw a rock. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, you're pretty good.
I was going to say that.
And he threw that shit into the stratosphere, George.
I wouldn't call it, so I anything that I was like, it seems kind of SJW. It was like, I just looked at it and I thought about it. I was like, all right, well, he kind of just lazily threw her boulder. She kind of looked like she had a little effort, and then he grabbed a boulder and fucking flung it. So I feel like they
give it credit. They give it credit. I like that. I appreciate that they did that. I really appreciate that they did that, because everyone talks shit about Disney that they can't do that no more. I love that they did, and I keep that in. Keep that in, because now she feels also, like that.
I don't think her bitchiness was SJW. I definitely think it was more just because they're related. They're cousins. Cousins are friendly, but a lot of times there's a little strain in there.
Of course, you've been together for so long, and I seen a lot of that.
It's almost like sibling relationships. Almost.
I'll give you 70-30.
Okay.
I guess I thought it was 70% relationship, but then 30% SJW kind of seeping through. But I'm also jaded because of you have to be on edge because they.
But also he's it seems like he's telling her, hey, I've been through this. Listen to me. And
it plays on her insecurities.
You've been in the same. We've been in the same situation. It's not like a mansplaining thing. You've been in a situation where someone says, "Hey, I've been through this. Listen to what I have to say," and you just disregard that shit.
Yes,
right?
Of course. It's a young person's mentality. I think he's older than her too.
Yeah, he definitely is.
And it plays on her insecurities. So I was never. Maybe you're right. Maybe no.
She's
maybe
in her 30s. He's like 40 something. He's in his 40s or 50s.
Right. Maybe you're right. Maybe it played, but I love that it plays on her insecurities.
Yeah.
I love that she almost is an SJW. Like, it's perfect. It makes her character so good. And so my rewriting, continuing on, I'm hyping the show up, and because I think it should be. I think you should hype the things that were good.
Yeah.
We're not here to shit on anything, in case you guys are actually still listening. We don't shit on anything. We critique. But listen, me personally anyway, I'm gonna hype that shit up if I liked it. I don't give a fuck. So anyway, you go on from that, right? She goes to do a case. She goes to do a case, and stupid Tatiana, get her the fuck out of here. Remove that stupid bitch. She's in court, being Jen, and one of the defendants, somehow, it's a fucking movie. We don't ask that many questions. If you do, you're a shithead on YouTube who critiques movies overly critical. Dude grabs a gun from the officer. Dude grabs a gun from the officer and is about to shoot somebody. And then, or about to shoot her. Maybe they do shoot her. Fuck, that'd be goddamn deep, wouldn't it? Imagine they shot her in the fucking chest. And then she became She-Hulk, because, you know, she would do it automatically. And then she fucking grabbed his ass or something, and she just didn't kill him, nothing, but she dismantled him, or kind of. She doesn't lose her mind. That's important for that scene. She never loses her mind, but she controls the situation as a She-Hulk. And then the story continues as normal, right? So then she struggles with being Jen for a few episodes. She struggles with being Jen, being She-Hulk. She has interviews. Her assistant, who I fucking love, best character in the show. I'll keep saying that. Get fucked. Her and her assistant, they're chilling. They're fucking doing these things. They're trying to be better, and she's doing these things and whatever. And it's a drama for a little bit. And then things become more serious. They're like, hey, we want you to, like, I agree with the show. I love the show's take. You have to defend Emil Blonsky. It's, whoa, dude. Like, you're just trying to throw me into this, and she's like nervous. Like, you just throw me into this, but you were a bad, angry SJW bitch. What happened? Her insecurities are showing, and I like that. And they said, no, you have to be She-Hulk. I didn't. I thought you wanted. I was going to my normal life. My normal life. She was so desperate. I love that. Yes, get fucked, bitch. They want the bad bitch. They want the big woman. Which ultimately, they didn't do this, but I wish they would have ended with her being the big woman all the time. Anyway, I thought it was supposed to be her growth into that. This is my rewriting. So, sorry, that was a dickhead thing to sound, because you said, go ahead.
No, keep going.
Okay, because it sounded like when I said that, it was in response to your, And I was like, yeah, that was not the case.
Because I was like, I thought about back when you were like, I don't like Smart Hulk. I'm like, it's different. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Smart Hulk because their relationship was different.
I guess
very different.
There's no like internal. There's no like separate personality in there that.
Right.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. It wasn't. It was. Their relationship was very different. But I do appreciate, in a way, Smart Hulk. It was written in decently enough. Anyway, side story. But so yeah. So now she has to be She-Hulk. She's defending fucking monsters. But then she becomes a lawyer bad when she turns it on, right? It's like, I like how this, you can't use your powers in here. And then she became like Jen in a courtroom setting with monsters. You could tell she was uncomfortable. And it was like, yes, you're supposed to be. And then She-Hulk made her stronger. And I like the fact that then she started to go to regular court. Then have a couple episodes with regular bad guys. They don't. And don't make them shitty. Don't make them caricatures. Don't make them fucking stupid, unbelievable garbage. Don't put Danny Blaze while she's trying to fuck some dude in a hotel. Like,
I like Donnie Blaze.
You would. George. Fans, if anybody's he's biased. Don't even give him credit for that. Nah, he wasn't that bad. His character as it wasn't that bad. It was just he was
a washed up magician. That's all he was.
Right, and I liked his character. It just didn't mean that much to the plot.
Definitely not, no.
It didn't develop her character in any way. Give her a couple regular bad guys that develop her. Give her regular bad guys and have the bad guys on trial talk shit to her. Like, wow, so you just think you're the Hulk's fucking sister and you can do whatever you want to me? That means a lot.
Yeah.
She's not his fucking sister. She doesn't even want to be the fucking Hulk. And then she kind of has this issue where she's fucking losing it almost.
Yeah.
Then have that case play out. Maybe she loses the case. And then she has a turmoil as a lawyer. Because now She-Hulk is affecting her lawyer career that she thought she could ignore. It's like, well, I thought I could do that. She can't do that. It's been pressuring her. She tried to be Jen at a fucking Abomination hearing, and she tried to be She-Hulk at a regular dude hearing. She can't do that. And it fucking comes to a conclusion, and she's like, well, fuck, and she has a fucking crisis. And then she has emotional things. I would like it that she had a long-standing boyfriend, or at least some interest. Make it Todd, or whatever the fuck, the sexy playboy dude. Make it a long-standing interest throughout the series that she had interest in. Even if it wasn't the same coworker. Go ahead.
I like her relationship with Daredevil.
Again, I like that. That's different. he was a sex object, but their
Dude,
chemistry was really
I
good.
like that she like throughout the show is trying to find love, like a partner or somebody, and then but she doesn't find someone that she can actually be with until she comes to terms with She-Hulk during that whole like scene with her and at Blonsky's compound with all those villains when they
Right,
all,
and I liked that. No, I liked that part. I like her growth. I would have liked that growth across two different dudes. And the fact that she had love before she became She-Hulk. And it put a strain on
okay.
her relationship. And now he doesn't love her as much. And where I'm going with this, the bad guys, who she thought weren't fucking real, when Bruce told her, you're a superhero now. The bad guys who had a relationship on the rocks came to the boyfriend and was like, she's a monster. She's this. She's that. Like, are you scared of her? And they played on all this dude's insecurities. Write it better than that. I made this up in like 3 seconds. But write the current boyfriend who she's trying to be with, make that shit fucking fall apart. But she's trying to hold on to it as a representation of her.
They could have made the boyfriend she was with from the start of the show be the guy who ended up sleeping with her and recording it. Yeah,
yes,
that would have been a betrayal from him, and it would have been
and it would have been it would have been the
had
crutch.
more emotional punch. Yeah,
yes, it would have been the crutch of her entire character development.
Okay,
and then not only that, where it gets even better, that she's been struggling with Jen versus She-Hulk. I love the Abomination thing. Keep that in there. His ranch, everything. The stupid side characters, please do better. Do something better than... Even if it's Blonsky by himself. Give it Blonsky by himself. Don't put in joke characters. Make me feel like I'm in a fucking Saturday Night Live skit.
They're fine. I think those... Because they said they're in the one
they're
episode?
in the circle. In the circle, their dialogue served the best, utmost of amazing purposes.
Yeah.
Their characters in the story... Get the fuck out of here, dude. Their characters.
They weren't in it past that episode, right? They were just in that episode, and that's it.
No, the one dude was the fucking one guy who raided the construction site and tried to kill her.
Oh, right, yeah, that guy.
The Matador came back, I think, like one more time. They were in the second episode when she lost service. They came back. All those guys came back again when she was in the ranch again.
Well, that was the same episode.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. So that was only Blonsky came back when she went back when they were doing the rally.
Yeah.
Okay.
The construction worker came back, or not the construction worker, but the guy who robbed the construction worker.
Right, that guy.
Back. Yeah.
So all of them. Get rid of all of them. But put.
I like him a little bit. Like I like that he was a shithead who like tried to like fucking attack her, and then
give
he
him
ended
a better
up being...
story and keep him. You're right.
Yeah.
Make him relatable as someone who's been on both sides. Give them Hawkeye. Listen, you got rights. Oh, he's already dead.
No, he's alive.
Yep. Give him Hawkeye. And I know it's fucked up. And this is again.
Make him be Hawkeye.
What?
So are you saying make him Hawkeye?
Yes. No, make one of those guys in a circle Hawkeye. Make them Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Get these fuckers out of here. Get Hawkeye in there.
Hawkeye's already came to terms with what he's done in his show.
Right, and it may not feel that right, but make him show up for some reason in her story, and be like, if it can't be in Emil's circle, because he's obviously, like you said, he's already come to terms with a lot of things.
I think the actor's done with it though.
Put someone there. Put someone interesting who I care about their emotional development to give her actual, concrete, relatable advice. And Emil did phenomenal. I love his character throughout. He's fine. But Emil needs support. The circle needs to be not these throwaway joke characters.
I think Black Widow's sister would have been a really good one there.
Oh, yes. It would have been great. And you know they're all connected. And this is what I like. They played it up, dude. They played it up. His walking into the fucking development as Abomination. He had been doing things as Abomination to show the relationship between I was a monster, I'm still a monster, but I'm a good guy now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just because you're a bad guy does not mean you are.
Right. And I liked that. So to add other people from the Marvel Universe to do that, and I get maybe the budget, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Do something about that. Even if they have to be characters in that show, make them characters who are interesting. Those characters were interesting enough. Like I said, I liked Matador, but they weren't good enough. They weren't good enough to have a meaningful impact on the story or her character development. No.
Yeah.
They needed more. So anyway, give that. She does that. She's betrayed by the guy she thought she wanted to fix her relationship with, but the one guy who's been trying to get in, the one guy who's been trying to push her in that realm, the Daredevil-esque. Don't make it Daredevil, please, because I don't want to see a crossover and you have to force them to be together for the rest of their lives. But maybe make it him. I'm honest. Maybe make it him. I don't know. Make it someone though. Make it something, some person. Make it a human. I don't know. Who wants her as she is and understands her. And then she has turmoil and all that, and just her whole story is the first season, and she comes to terms with that. Totally good. Finale. We're getting to the finale. Oh, baby, that's where I have the juice. I have the fucking juice. As the finale happens, Bruce has been gone the whole series. She's been ignoring his shit. She's been doing her own thing as a bad bitch and fucking it up royally. Almost lost her career. Almost lost everything. Lost her boyfriend. Lost everything. Lost her blood. Now the bad guys have it. Then the bad guys come back. And then they start fucking shit up royally. Like, I mean, royally fucking shit up. And then eventually she tries to stop them. She's like, what do I... And her struggles of, what do I do? And she tries to, like, call people or, like, ask for help. And she can't. Because she's still trying to not be a superhero. And then she fucking goes in by herself to try and be a superhero and gets fucking demolished. I mean, beat the shit out of. And then she's laying there almost dead or some shit. And then Bruce shows up. And then fucking just kills everyone. I mean, damn, pretty much kills at least a couple people. I know it's dark, but if he doesn't kill him, make him close to kill him. But he kills him, essentially. So Bruce comes in and fucking loses his mind and kills everyone. And then he's yelling at her. He's losing control of his own emotions. He's losing control of his Hulk form. He's like, I told you! I told you this would happen! Why? Why'd you do this? And then he's fucking just kills everyone. He's like screaming at her while she's unconscious, like, get up! And like, he doesn't know how to handle that. Like, he's fucking... He loses his emotions. And then he goes to jail. He saved her. But they had cameras and everything, and now Bruce Banner's on fucking trial. And then she has to go help him. The entire plot comes full circle. He told her, you don't know what the fuck you're getting into. You're weak and young and you don't know what you're doing. I'm trying to help you. She discarded him and said, fuck you. And then her ignorance led him to his ignorance, where he fell through in the things he was trying to teach her. So then she disrespects him, but he disrespected himself, but he disrespected her in the beginning, but now she has to respect him because he saved her, but he has to respect her because she's getting him out of jail. It's just like a fucking full circle jerk of like, we respect each other, but we hate each other, but we didn't know each other things. I knew this, you knew that, we didn't know that, we didn't know anything. It's fucking a clusterfuck of, oh my god, we're human.
Yeah.
And it'd be so fucking good, dude. What do you think? Critiques, man. Give me some, because I know it maybe not perfect, but that would have been.
I jumped in where I felt like I think I could have helped you out a little bit better with that, but because I don't really have any strong opinions about how to make it better outside of like I don't like the final. Hey, let's rewrite this. When she broke the fourth wall and said, "Hey, I want to rewrite all this stuff."
Right.
I was like, that seems kind of lazy. Like you wrote a messy finale so that your character can. I told you I'm getting. I'm already kind of burnt out on fourth wall breaking anyways, but I know that She Hulk breaks the fourth wall, so it's fine that she does it. I'm okay with it. But it felt like they wrote a messy finale just so that their main character can point it out and be like, yeah, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna tidy this up by cutting out a whole plot point in the entire show.
Right.
It just felt like they cheated their finale. To me,
well, the entire show was cheated.
I enjoyed the first 4 or 5 episodes, and it felt like they were just meandering until they got to the end.
But did you know that apparently the Bruce Banner scenes and all the Hulk stuff was supposed to be like episode 6 and 7?
No, I had no idea.
I heard about that. Yeah, I can't confirm that, but I heard that they had to rearrange the episodes because it was so bad pre-launch. And I think
was she like? Did she lose her shit and then Hulk tried to do all that stuff?
That may have been how it was written. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
And I was like, and that's why I think that's why that first scene was reshot. Well, it's a lawyer show. Let's just go ahead and give you the backstory. I don't think they were gonna do that. I think they were just like gonna go in raw, and then the fucking reviews were so goddamn poor. They were like, we have to get them in for at least 2 episodes to make them commit. And then we can kind of.
I like to see that confirmation, but
right, yeah, I can't confirm that. I heard that in hearsay, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that overall, yeah, and this, I can bitch about more things, and I don't want to do
Uh,
that because, like, for example, the wedding scene. You know how fucking god awful that was? That she shows up as
I don't even like any of her. The whole wedding was kind of lame. It was just showing how like she got walked on. Like that was it. And she's just a
But it
pushover.
didn't though. She showed up as a bad bitch, and it was like, well, don't you
Even if she
ever.
still got walked all over, what's her face said, "Hey, I don't want you to be in Hulk form at all," and then she like didn't do it, and then she
Right,
fucking said, "Hey, will you clean all this stuff for me? Because the staff is being annoying.
right,
Hey Jen, this is your forgot what they're called, groomsman. This is your groomsman. It's a literal dog that has some kind of problems with it. That's why it's scrawny.
right.
Uh,
No, but
so
they undercut all of that in the last part of the episode.
that's why I was saying that it just felt like it was meandering right there at the end. They just couldn't
I
find
don't,
it.
don't even just keep it. I was unhappy at how god awful those fucking scenes were. You know why?
Also,
Also,
her name is not Titania. Titania. Titania should
right,
have just been cut out. Like
of course.
I don't know. Uh,
You know who should have been cut out? The friend. Who is this friend? This is again why I love her fucking assistant best friend. So who is this bitch? Well, she was somebody I knew in high school. That's been fucking 15 years. No big deal. Like, well,
That
why
was
are you
fine.
invited? I love that. Her friend was like, so why are you invited?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
Her
thought,
friend
yeah.
was so
The
good.
wedding episode would have been like good, I think, because to show that she just gets walked on all the time.
Right. No,
But
the idea that, like, why are you invited? Why don't you tell them no? I can't just tell them no.
yeah,
Yeah, hun, it's called N-O. I
uh,
love it. So, yeah, so if she got there and
what did
got
it
walked
do to
on,
get her redeem that? Like, what did she do to fucking just overcome her being walked all over? I can't even
nothing.
remember.
Nothing. You know what happened at the end? No, this is why I say they subvert, they undercut their entire fucking show. The bitch stomps all over her at the beginning because she was a bad bitch and she looked good. So then halfway through, she's drunk as fuck. She feels bad about it. Makes sense. You're drunk as fucking hell because you're like, I don't want to fucking be here. I hate this bitch. I don't even know you. Like, I'm a fucking goddamn lawyer and I'm a fucking Hulk and you're a random bitch from high school. I don't even have to fucking be here. And you could tell she was thinking that. And then she fucking Titania shows up and it's like Titania. It's like, what and she even said it. Why are you here to ruin my wedding or to ruin my friend's wedding? Number
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
that's not your friend. And number two, obviously, and then you did it. She said, you know what would have been better? If Tatiana never fucking ruined the wedding. If She Hulk did it, that'd have
Oh
been great.
right,
If
that
she
would
would
have
have
been
actually
better.
been a guest
Yes.
list, if she would have actually been a guest list and her insecurities had ruined the wedding, would have been fucking beautiful. But no, they undercut their entire show because
That
they
is true.
said they talk shit about themselves for the things they're about to do.
Yeah, but it's not a drama or a tragedy. They really were trying to go for a comedic sitcom. So that's why none of that could happen.
No, but no,
Which is
anyway,
dumb
what I was
because
saying, we never
sitcoms
got to
have
that point.
grown.
I never got to that
I
point.
said they're trying to write a sitcom from like the 80s or 90s because sitcoms aren't even like that anymore. Sitcoms are fucking, I don't know, like you've seen a New Girl or How I Met Your Mother. They fucking have a lot of
Like
fucking
New
low
Girl.
points. They have a lot of low points in their shows. So.
Right. I can agree with that.
But can't even use that as an as an excuse anymore. That hey, I'm trying to write this happy-go-lucky sitcom that goes back to the status quo. Well, and you're going back in time now. No one cares. No one watches those sitcoms anymore. Some people still do, but even Friends had a lot of low points.
Right. Because it's a sitcom. It's a situational comedy about real people who have real feelings.
Yeah,
And the humor is what makes it relatable. This is fucking side story. We can't get into it. But I watched an
Nah.
entire fucking documentary on what is my man's name? O'Neill,
Ha-
Patrice,
yeah,
Patrice O'Neill. I watched an entire documentary on that man and his life and how he fought for things and how he was on Fox News fighting, essentially for free speech. He was like,
yeah,
yeah, I can talk shit about anybody I want. He said, because comedy does that. He was, I can get
yeah,
on stage and talk about some black ass, big lip motherfuckers, and y'all gonna laugh. But y'all thinking it deep down. He said, that's why I make you uncomfortable. He was like, that's why you're uncomfortable right now. Because you know you think it, and you can't address those issues. He was like, anybody should be able to talk about anything. If you say something about something, you should be able to say that.
yeah.
And he fought for a lot of those things. But yeah, no, you're right. New age things. compared to old age things, new age things are saying more things. And I
Hmm.
respect that. Old age things did not say as much. New age things are talking about darker or deeper or different things, which makes them so good. We're gonna reach a breaking point, by the way. You know,
So
human.
we're about to wrap this up. It's all right. You just told what you wanted to change. I said some
Oh,
things about what
yeah,
I
we're not
didn't
done. Hold
like.
on, we're gonna finish that up. I mentioned though, what undercut that entire episode.
Okay.
She turns into the Hulk. I even gave them a pass. I gave them a fucking pass. I said I'm cool with the whole. I was literally George. I was cool with the whole episode. She was fighting
Yeah.
Titania. She was fighting and ruining. She smacked that fucker up. She destroyed the DJs, and they ruined the music and everything. She ruined the entire fucking wedding, and I was cool with it. And then that stupid fucking bitch bride walks up and says, "Oh my god, my friend, I love you. You're She-Hulk. I'm so happy you're here." What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I was confused by that. Not gonna lie. I saw that. I was like, I thought she was gonna lose her shit. What the
Like,
fuck? Uh,
yeah, no, what?
at the very least, she could have lost her shit, right?
Right. Now go fuck yourself. Be like, dude, you ruined my fucking wedding. It's like, well, I saved you from this stupid crazy bitch. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
but
don't
you
know.
still
I don't
ruined
know
my
what
fucking.
I don't know what the motivation behind
They
doing
do
writing
that throughout
that.
the show, though. That's why I was
Yeah.
mad about certain characters. That's why I mentioned fucking what's his name, Sexy Boy from the beginning, Playboy. They did that to him. They established characters' motivations and personalities, and then undercut them completely shortly after.
Hmm.
And I think that's like
I feel like he wasn't that different. I felt like he was the same.
he didn't get enough screen time, and I'm projecting some things I thought about the character. So to be fair,
Uh,
you're right. I
yeah.
assumed certain things based on what I saw, and then when other things got fleshed out, I was like, "That's not the character you were building." But nobody
Yeah.
knew the character you were building because you didn't build them because you didn't have enough time. And we've been
Yeah.
there, so we're not gonna repeat old shit.
All right.
But yeah, no, that shit was fucking frustrating. I was like, "Dude, you ruined the whole fucking fuck you!" I was so fucking mad because I was like, "Yo, she's doing it. She's being a bad bitch. She's like, I got a new outfit. I'm gonna be a bad bitch with the titties hanging out, and I'm gonna fucking shake my ass, and everybody's gonna love me." And I loved it. And they undercut the fuck out of that. Not in a bad way. Sorry, that was the wrong word because I've been saying about the entire show. But her ex friend undercut her completely. I was like, yes, get shit on by your ex friend and realize you don't need that stupid bitch. That was the whole point of that episode, George. The whole point was that by the end of the episode, she fucking finds a sexy hot dude who loves her, and she beats the shit out of Titania, and then she says, "You know what? Fuck you," and she leaves, and she becomes a stronger, better woman who stays in She-Hulk
Home.
form
Yeah.
more often.
Yeah.
Like I said from the beginning, I liked them to lead her up to being the She-Hulk from the comics. In which case, yes, do that. Have the entire first season be about her struggles as Jen versus She-Hulk. It was really fucking interesting. You could have done it well. And then second season, straight from the comics.
Yeah.
Second season, copy and paste from the comics, and we got free real estate. You had free real estate. All you had to do, make a unique, interesting story to get the plebs involved. Get them involved. Second season, straight from the comics, and you're good. By the way, what I mentioned like 6 fucking hours ago, one of the reasons why it was Rogue in the very beginning of X-Men and throughout the trilogy, and why she got dumped off at the end of the trilogy, and why Wolverine took a more prominent part, and you were like, what happened? That was part of the writers. The comic book material,
Yeah.
it was after selling Marvel. So after they sold Marvel, the writer Chris Claremont, Chris, the fucker who made all the X-Men forever. He was the greatest writer of female strong characters and X-Men personal characters, and he was the best fucker ever.
Talking about the comics? Or you talking about the movies?
The movies, the comics.
Yeah.
I said both.
Yeah,
The
both?
comics. The comics. The Chris Claremont. I think it's Chris Claremont. Chris Claremont wrote the best of ever of all X-Men comics. He was the one who made Rogue and Jean Grey and all these bad bitches and Mystique and everyone really fucking interesting.
Yeah.
He got fired or did different projects or laid off or he quit and he went somewhere else. I don't know. Something happened in the 90s. So he stopped writing.
I think he would. If I'm correct, I think he went to fucking Image. I know a lot of writers went to Image.
Gotcha. So
Is
he
what I'm
left
saying.
anyway.
No, he
But
didn't
so,
go to Image
but they
LA.
had the story, but they didn't have any new material. So the X-Men cinematic universe rewrote Rogue based on, previous shit, but they wanted to balance it on new shit. Well, the new writers in the X-Men comics, which you said they were more in line, they were trying to do like an inline movie comic thing in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And the inline things, there was no material. Rogue had never been written by anybody else but Chris Claremont. My understanding could be wrong. And
Stan Lee at one point.
at that point, they ran out of material, so they dropped the character. They didn't know what to do. And because Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, as an actor, was so fucking commanding, he took the spotlight and the fans loved him, so they had to get more of him or they wouldn't sell box office tickets. And it had to adapt based on box offices. And this is also what I mean, and I want to wrap up all of our discussion in general. I'll probably wrap most of our conversations up with this, is that you make media for the fans.
Yeah.
Media is for the fans. Who are the fans? Ticket buyers. Who are ticket buyers? Mostly normies. You have to make things for them.
You did say you were gonna wrap this up, but do you make? My question is, you said you make it for the fans.
Yes.
Do you make She-Hulk for the MCU fans? Do you make it for the She-Hulk fans? Or do you make it for normies?
You make it for new She-Hulk fans.
What do you mean by that?
Good question. You can't, and we know this. Tell me one time we've ever had a one-to-one adaptation, comic to movie. Never happened.
Japanese comic or American comic?
Both.
And
done well.
Okay.
You can't have a one-to-one necessarily because it just doesn't translate well, and a lot of times there's too much. So most movies take creative liberties. They do it justice, but they take some liberties.
100%. All of them
I think that
take liberties. None of them are 1-to-1, and
right.
I love like most of them. So
Yes, me too. So I'm saying is, when you said whose fans do you make it for? I don't think, if I were to say normies, that's incorrect. Because She-Hulk in particular, the way I retold it, right? The way I retold She-Hulk, season 1 is to get the normies on board. Season 2 is where, oh no, that's straight from the comics. We introduced her perception, her behavior, her character development. We introduced everything about what made her her in season 1. Now season 2 is here. You get the raw shit. You get her fucking Tony Stark in the fucking in the second season. Like random raw shit. Like you get the second season is all her good shit, her highlights or whatever. But also, this is a bigger picture, George, than what I said. People want more. And if you know what Marvel did, and unfortunately, because of writing issues and things like that, they almost removed all of their good plot points forever. To remake, big shit, right? To remake the good big shit, the Thanos level shit. No, you're kind of done. Your options are pretty limited. You have Doctor Doom. You already killed Godslayer, so you got Doctor Doom.
You got the what's it called? The God of Symbiotes. You got the You got Galactus. You got
You have Galactus, I will say, but Galactus, he has to come back with Fantastic Four, which again brings in Doctor Doom. So they have potential.
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
But it has to be Galactus or Doctor Doom. Like they've already
Getting fuck's his name. I was about to say Khan. That's not
Kang
right.
the Conqueror?
Yeah, Kang. There you go.
They could do that, but it's just that requires Thanos tie-ins a little bit, not too much, but
you can write it. You can write it without him.
That's true.
You don't necessarily like the thing is you don't need to specifically do everything the exact same way he does it in the comics, like we just said earlier.
Right, you gotta have the big bad though, and you're right. He could be the big bad.
Ultron was written as Tony made him. which makes a lot of more sense
Then
than
Hank
Hank
Pym,
Pym
right?
making him.
Yeah, no,
But
Hank
Hank
Pym
Pym was the one that
was
made him in the
he was
comics.
a
So,
side character versus he was more main
well,
in the
he
movie.
was a main Avenger.
No, but I'm saying in the movies,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
a side character in the movies versus his main role in like the comics.
Yeah, yeah, in the comics he's like a main Avenger. So, so he goes fucking evil, and yeah, but Scott Lang is uh,
Right.
yeah,
Well,
he's second Ant-Man or third, I forget, I don't remember.
right. So, but they expedited a lot of stuff. For example, Civil War. A lot of the think about the big things. We have a few things left,
Civil War is relatively new. It came out in 2008.
but it still was a huge, long-standing thing.
Yeah,
It didn't happen overnight.
yeah,
In the movies, they're done. It's over.
yeah.
House of M, they could do that. But they already have. You can't really do House of M without Days of Future Past, kind of, and they already done Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. So it's like, and
Kinda,
they've already
well, they didn't do it.
no, but they it's weird territory, right? They've already covered Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. They've covered
I mean,
Cable.
I,
Um,
I, if the MCU wants to do House of M, I'm all for it. So
I'm down, but the reason House of M exists was because House of M was it was the '90s reboot of the entire series after they sold the whole franchise to consolidate. It wasn't.
they didn't sell the comics.
Well, no, but when I say they sold the rights, what I'm saying is that, like, how do I say it? Like, they sold everything and said, let's reconsolidate and let's start from scratch, essentially. House of M was a long-winded way to say there's no more mutants except the ones that we want to talk about to make it interesting again.
Yeah,
That's all it
but
was. I'm not saying it was bad. It was good. I loved it.
No, I didn't say it was bad, or that you said it was bad. I said that's not why that happened. That's what I said.
I'm pretty sure it was. I mean, it happened in the same time at the same time frame, and they.
That happened in that time frame, but I don't think that's why it happened. Also, though, I don't have no confirmations. I don't know.
Oh, but no, you can argue that. I think that to my understanding is that
I
was
I do not think that's why
that
it
was the
happened,
structure on my understanding. And if you look at the story, that's all it did, because it brought back.
They kept making more mutant stuff. So
No, but
like,
you're right. But
they created, like, I know for a fact they created Inhumans because they wanted to make new characters that were like mutants, but they didn't want to make them mutants because they wouldn't have the right to make them in their own movies. So they made Inhumans, and they're basically just mutants.
Right. No, and I'm speaking more of the fact
That
that
one I know there's a confirmation that
right. No, and
directly because of the
I can
movies.
agree with you on that one. What I'm saying more so is that when this was going on, Marvel has never done New 52. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no.
They're not going to blatantly come out and say, yeah, our writing sucks and it went too far in all directions. We're going to go ahead and reconsolidate. Let's just pretend this is the new shit.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. They just have more class, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
So, like, that was their New 52.
Sort of, yeah.
That was, they literally, they said was it Avengers Unassembled?
Yeah.
They literally were doing it. They were like, we need to separate all of these grandiose stories, because what happened was their story, and this is, I heard this from someone else, I can't confirm this on my own. I didn't read all these comics, but I heard that what happened was their grandiose ideas became so big that the fans stopped liking it, because what made it good was the characters. It was the individual struggle of these people in their everyday lives. Things like Spider-Man, shit like that. But they've gotten to Avengers and X-Men and this and all these giant teams of awesome shit fighting big bad guys, which is good. We all love the Thanos story. Like, we all love these fucking huge, massive shits. But they didn't know how to dial it back to their stories. And I think that was my understanding, was that was like, they were like, fuck it, reset, try it again. Let's get it right this next time. Let's bring it back a little, dial it back. And they were dialing it back for a reset. And then you know what they did? Like you said, then they exploded again. Yeah, what happened to New 52, bro, George? I heard from every DC fan that New 52 was the greatest, hottest, most amazing, most bread and butter shit they ever read in their fucking life. And then a year later, they ruined it again. Like, it didn't take long for DC fans to be fucking pissed about it. And it's not a jab at DC or nothing, but same thing we said for Marvel. It was like, well, you slimmed it down and did all this other stuff. For example, did you know how many Wolverines fans hate because I'm reading the stories as it stands. The Wolverine post House of M, his rework essentially.
Yeah.
Also, I found out behind the scenes that Marvel Comics heard that Sony or Fox, whichever one owned it, was going to do a Wolverine Origins. So when they heard that in the rumors, they
We talked about it
published
earlier.
like a 6 week. We didn't talk about this. They published a 6 week version of Wolverine Origins.
I could have swore we talked about
Nope,
Wolverine Origin.
we never mentioned that. So
Was
apparently
it yesterday or today? I don't know.
but they published the
I remember you
fuck
saying something
out of
about
that. It was like rushed as fuck. So what happened was they kind of made some retcons. They kind of did some things, and fans were pretty upset. But not just because of that, because later on, Wolverine's mystique, apparently his character development, like you said, he wasn't a very main character. He wasn't supposed to be, but that's what made him interesting. His battle with his memories and who he was as a person made him more interesting in the previous comics. Well, now he has all his memories back. They're like, as a retcon, he has all his memories back. Restart his character. Well, I don't know. It just became like more. I don't know. For me, it was kind of dull. Like he was fighting his son. I just don't care. Like he was fighting his son. Like he was fighting with fucking what's his name for the Chromagifier. I don't know, not the Chromagifier. Fuck, I don't remember what it was. It was stupid. I like the character. Fucking red. Not Red Cyclone. He's not Zangief. Red Cyclone. Fuck, I don't know. The whip, not Whiplash, not the. I thought the character everyone thought it was in X-Men or Iron Man 2. Blonde hair, tentacles made of the metal. His whole body's metal. He's dying of carbonium.
Oh, remember.
Omega Red, got it.
All right.
Omega Red. Everyone thought Omega Red. At least I thought that Iron Man 2 was Omega Red. Anyway, Omega Red. He had like a whole thing with Omega Red with the carbonium scene. I don't know. It was just. It's hard to say if it was that good. Anyway, short story long. Where are we going?
We're wrapping up She Hulk.
Yes, I already wrapped that up. I think that overall, I gave my retelling of it. I think that could have been fucking amazing. I think if they would have built the character the way they wanted to, I'm okay with that. I liked that direction. I love the direction of Jen's transformation into She-Hulk and what that means for her and her battle with her new self and her battle with Bruce and with being, air quotes, an Avenger, right? Like she always made jokes, but they made jokes about I'm not an Avenger. They made jokes many times during the series. They made jokes. Yeah, she's an Avenger. I'm not an Avenger. I like those jokes. She truly believed that she was so far separated from Bruce that she would never have anything bad happen to her. And I like the idea that bad things keep happening to her until she realizes that in her social life, in her hero life, in her everything life, in every aspect of her life, like three-dimensionally. That's why I say three-dimensional character. Back to that bullshit. She would have her personal life, her Hulk life, and then maybe her family life or whatever. You know, like she would have three things that all contribute to her fucking being. And it was like she develops through that, and then she ends the season on a bad bitch. And then we get season 2 when that's straight up bad bitch Hulk lady all the time. She never goes back to Jen. I would love it. I would fucking love it. It could have been done so good.
You know they're not going to do that because they have budget.
No, you're right.
They got the money, man. I don't know.
No, they do.
Like,
I don't believe that.
I'll say, was it? Have you seen? Or you haven't seen House of the Dragon at all? And House of the Dragon is another tangent. We're supposed to fucking wrap up, but they threw all the. It's gonna be a short one. They threw all the money at it. They have a dragon every episode. They look better than the ones that are in fucking Game of Thrones.
Right.
The fucking costume designs, the set designs, everything. This way higher budget. It's got season 8 Game of Thrones money with season 4 writing.
Right.
Like it's not better than the season 1 through 3, like writing wise, but yeah, it's up
right.
there.
No, but what you're saying though is that like it's not. Marvel makes billions in the bees of money. You can hire a fucking VFX editor for 80 grand a year or 100 grand a year, even if they get paid that much.
Disney, they can throw the money that they need to make the effects look good, but they're like, it's a sitcom. It's fine if the effects look like shit.
Now hold on. I need to ask you that. Do you think anything in that show looked bad effects wise?
I think okay, yeah. I'll say the only time I think Jen looks bad when she's in Hulk form is in her office. In her office, it looked like I was watching a video game. Outside of her office, she looked great.
Oh, okay. Because I have to begrudgingly
I
agree with you that the long shots, not the close-ups, the long shots of her in the office.
Yeah.
When it was like the entire desk and her torso.
Yeah, those
Okay.
look really weird. When she's sitting at her desk, those are the only parts that I'm like, that looks
Those looked a little bit
kind of gross.
uncanny, but they weren't anti-immersive.
They're a little anti-immersive for me, but
Okay.
for the most part, when she's walking around, looks fucking amazing. When she was
Woo!
fighting Hulk on the fucking island, looked amazing.
Bro, I heard
don't know
someone
what
bitch about her fight with fucking. I heard someone bitch about her fight with Daredevil. Wow, CGI Daredevil. Imagine having practical effects in your fucking show.
Yeah, whatever.
That fight was
But,
fucking awesome. Like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
Like, I will say though, it did look inhuman, right? I can't
Yeah.
disagree. When he did the duck, when she went to slam his ass in like the clothesline, and he
Yeah.
ducked, he did that shit so fast. I said, dude, that's
Yeah,
what
no.
made it cool. He made superhuman movements in that
yeah,
amount of time.
My fucking closing things about this is don't look at the fucking clickbaity videos on YouTube.
Right.
I haven't watched any of them, but they're all just
Lies, exaggerations.
worst. Well, I haven't watched
They're not
them,
lies.
so I don't, yeah, but the clickbait is literally like worst show ever. CGI is god awful. I'm like,
Right.
they're the titles, and I'm like, I assume this is all they talk. Like, I don't know. I clicked on those videos a while back, not for the She-Hulk specifically, but
Right.
all they do is fucking rage bait.
Right. No, come to us. You want real information? Because we're
Uh,
alive.
If
If you want real information, come to us. We're gonna watch
They are
it.
very strong, but
Yes.
I'll say those guys. All they do is they nitpick one
Yep.
small subject matter for like
10
30
minutes.
minutes.
If that. They're mostly 10-minute videos.
Those are 3 videos on the same fucking on the same fucking topic.
Right.
All
Can I
of
get a
them 10 minutes
10-minute
long.
video on how I'm mad about this, and you can get likes and subscribes? And can I get you in a
Yeah, right.
rage? They don't talk about things objectively.
Yeah, no. A lot of them I feel don't even fucking watch the show. I even talk to dudes at work who were like, "Oh, I heard the show was garbage. I heard the CGI is terrible. I heard this, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm about to go watch all of them. So I'll let you know how I feel about it.
Bro,
Oh.
George, I got a guy at work like that.
Uh,
I love him. He's a good friend of mine.
yeah,
And he has not a good friend, but we're pretty close as work friends. He's a really cool guy. And he's a literary guy. Like, I do think he respects literary analysis. I think he understands storytelling. But he absolutely fucking hates, and he's part of the hate rage YouTube guys of Marvel, anything Phase 4, and he has quoted one for one some YouTube comments and like YouTube videos.
yeah.
And there's time he shits on a movie without ever having. I was like, yes, what about this scene? He was like, I don't know. I watched the review, and I died, dude. I fucking died. I was like, bro, you gotta watch Thor: Love and Thunder. That was the one. I was like, dude, you gotta watch that shit, because he was just ragging and just shitting on it. To be fair, in his credit, he was like, dang. Because I told him certain scenes. I told him the scene with like with the Viper, and like dude in the cage.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I told him about the whole scene. I was like, yeah. When he says, what? You liked it a minute ago? I fucking died. I died. It was so well acted. It was so fucking like, it was the comedy. It was the perfect blend of comedy and serious, because that character would say that. That evil-ass, terrible character would laugh in the face of you losing your loved ones because he fucking lost his and he's sadistic about it now. He
All right.
would relish in that. And I mentioned that scene, but he had never seen that scene. So he was like, oh, maybe I'll go watch it later. The point is that hopefully we can bring you guys to watch things later. You already know what's going to happen. You already know our fucking thought process. But if this is the pilot episode, I hope that if you watch any amount of our content for any amount of time, that if you see a title about a certain topic, or if you hear about a topic and then we say spoilers, go watch it. Because we're gonna corrupt your mind. I'm sorry. Like, we're objective as fuck, and me and him go back and forth like 40. This is why our show is, 6 hours long. Our show is 6 hours long because we go.
I'm gonna cut out like 2 hours of tangent. Probably maybe a couple more.
Right, and I'm exaggerating. The recording now is for 4 hours and 32 minutes. But
Yeah, I'm gonna cut out probably cut out like 3 hours of tangent. I don't
of
know
course,
how many hours we actually have of tangent.
right,
Watch
right,
this actually be like 20 minutes of She-Hulk, and then let's like just the rest of its
right. No,
tangents.
you're right. I can probably agree with that. To be honest, but keep this part in
If you want
because
to hear the entire story, you want to hear all the
right.
tangents.
At least
Yeah,
upload it to YouTube for like a 6 hour
subscribe.
video.
Nah, fuck that. They gonna pay money.
Damn, he said they gonna pay money, bro. He said how much I gonna get paid. Shit, I respect it.
You made me the boss man. Yeah, you want the tangents?
Right,
You
no,
want the
literally.
arguments?
That's why I
They're on
said
they on the Patreon. They ain't on the first level. They on the third level.
damn, hell yeah, bro. So this is why I'm not the boss, guys. In case you didn't know, I said I was elected to talk, not to walk. I don't make decisions around here. He said I was elected to read, not to lead. Wait, sorry, wrong one. He reads, then he leads. Sorry.
All right. It's
But-
about to be fucking 1 a.m. over here. It's fucking about.
No, it's late, man. It's late for me
where
too.
you're at, so
Uh,
go ahead.
Anyway,
Finish up.
so no,
Yeah.
back to the whole. If this is still in the edit, which I hope it is for our first episode, but
Yeah, it probably will be.
you guys, man, just understand that we're gonna give you the most unbiased as we can. Everything we have our biases. We're still human, but if you listen to our entire uncut shit, we went back and forth, and like our opinions changed while we talk. It's like I think this, and before we end it, it's
Rating
like
change at all, or is it still a 4?
still a 4. Yeah, still a 4.
Okay.
I think because they still dropped the ball. It still dropped the ball. They still fucking fumbled a lot of
Mine is
things
still
they
leaning
did.
a little under 5, but I wouldn't flat out give it a 4. I would say like a 4.5 at the lowest, maybe 4.9.
I can't ignore all the nidbits.
What
What makes a show good?
It's below average for me, but I can still
You think that's average? You would compare that
below
to like,
average. 5 is average. It's still below average.
oh, because you think it's closer to a 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said 4. I thought you said it was 5 still. You're like, oh, it's still a 5.
No, it's 4. 4,
Okay.
4 point like something. Not directly a 4, but it's 4 point something. It's still below average because 5
Right.
is average for me.
Right, me too. I'll give it directly a 4. And I want to say lower sometimes, but there is a lot of gems, and I'm giving it credit that doesn't exist. I'm a sucker for this. This is why I
As
say
short
normally.
as it is too. It also helped because if it was longer, I don't think I would have gave it a 4.
Oh yeah, if it was longer, I would probably give it like at least a 6.
I think the first couple episodes, I was like, "Hey, this is not that bad. This is pretty
Right,
good."
me
And
too.
then
Yeah, no,
it was
100%.
the later episodes kind of dragged or fucking meandered and just
Right.
it
No,
fell apart.
I agree.
It fell apart towards the end.
Right. No, I
Uh,
agree. I agree. So I would say, yeah, if it got more, I would give it like probably a 6 out of 10 if it had more episodes or something. And that's why I say, so if I give it a 4, if you guys don't know, I give it a 4, it's like, well, don't watch it. If you, no, George, we left one thing. I'm going to leave it a spoiler. I like that. You guys have to go watch it. If you don't see the last episode, you don't know what happened. You know what happened? Do you remember that part, George? That bit was like random as fuck. I'm not happy about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
They were
She-Hulk
just
died.
like-
yeah.
Hey, we want you to care about this last episode. Here you go. That's how I felt. I was like, here's the last episode. Here you go. Here's some things that matter. And I was like, you can't just give me that at the end of a shitty show and expect me to fucking like, what the fuck? I think
Well,
that shit was contrived as
I
fuck.
assume that's what the movie. We're finally gonna get a movie
Right,
for him.
right.
So like that's gonna be
I know.
pretty good.
We can't say
Yes,
too
yeah.
much. Let them know. And this is because I want you guys to watch She-Hulk. I do. I want you guys to
If
watch
you're
it.
a fan of the Hulk, or you like sitcoms and kind of like the MCU, or you just want to spend more time with characters like Wong, or you want to see Blonsky come back in, go watch it.
No, don't. I'm sorry. Listen,
fine.
I'll tell you this. Watch it in the
I don't
background.
think you need to watch it.
You don't.
Or
It's absolute garbage.
it's very like I was very scared that it was gonna be mandatory reading material. It still looks like Marvel's gonna keep track of like nothing is mandatory.
Right. Except for WandaVision. I still stand by that.
Eh, It informs her character, but yeah,
She
definitely
was
don't
a different character by the time she left the movie to the new one.
I did, but I'm saying that like you could watch it and just kind of guess. Okay, some crazy shit happened. to
No!
this lady. Yeah,
You could
that's
skip-
how comic book. That's how comic books work, anyways.
But
Like
you could
they're all
skip
supposed-
Loki.
They're all standalone, and you're just like, what?
You could skip Loki, but you could because he's still relatively the same enough, and you could say, "What happened to you? Some things happened. I'm okay." But it would still be similar enough. She was wildly different.
Well,
She had motivations that didn't exist before that. My kids.
Technically he is wildly different because that's the Loki from Avengers 1, not the Loki from Endgame.
Oh God, here we go, dude.
I'm just saying that he's a different
No,
character.
you're
He's a
funny.
different.
No, you're right though. You're not wrong, but it's funny the way you said it.
Yeah.
But no, she had. He still had the same. Listen, like I said, his dimensions were still the same. His motivations, like his what do you call it? His characteristics
Yeah.
were still the same.
Yeah.
His motivations were different. He's fucking trapped in a prison. Yeah, he wants to escape this infinite prison that he's in, or whatever the fuck.
By the end, he's like genuinely wanting to be a good guy. Like he could have fuck. I mean, spoilers for Loki. He coulda
Oh,
fucking-
yeah, but no, you're right. Let's spoil it.
yeah, he could have. If he was really exactly how he was at the beginning, he would have just.
He would have
murdered
done that
one
with her.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he did. He actually did. I don't know. What do you call that then? If their characteristics change, that's not a dimension that motivates them. What do you call
I
that?
disagree, but I guess that's what we just disagree at. So,
Well, I guess in my rendition, I don't have a word for characteristics because normally in most people in real life, especially, and in honestly in most
I feel
stories,
like it's a big thing. Like if the characteristic would make him do X instead of Y, I
Mhm.
feel like that's a big enough change to say it is. But I don't
Well, no, I'll give you this, and I'll say it's his dynamic.
know. Okay.
Maybe I'll give you. I guess I have to have because we have this English is fucking hard. Well, word language is hard.
We're not literary analysis. We're just dudes who like storytelling. We don't know the actual definitions of words.
Right. So you have to have
we'll
this
cause
idea.
semantic arguments, but I'll try to cut these out. I'll save them for the Patreon. Y'all can go on and hear us argue at each other and sound really stupid. You can pay us some money.
Because definitely like if you think about it, like characters in real life or most things, their motivations are different, but their characteristics are the same. But characteristics being different, well, you've changed as a person, right? Like your motivations haven't changed, but you've changed as a person.
Yeah.
That is different. That's what I would call dynamic versus static characters, possibly.
All right, fool. I gotta sign out. Come on.
No, we're good. We brought up She Hulk, about everything.
Keep your stories long.
Right.
I mean short.
Keep your
Be
stories long.
concise
And
with your words.
No, here we go. Keep your ideas long and your story short.
Huh?
Keep your ideas long and your story short. That'd be kind of cool. Is that philosophical? Is that cool? I don't do those things very well, but
I don't think so.
that's not cool. Like long ideas, like you have a really deep brain, but your stories are short, meaning you have short words, but your brain is big, but your words are short. Like Gandhi. Gandhi was a man of few words, right?
My brain hurts now.
Oh my god, dude.